What's up, everybody? Welcome to Into the Storm podcast. I'm here today with two of my children. I got Cody, my son, here with us, and I've got Larkin, my daughter, and we're going to tell some stories. So how y'all doing?
Good.
Doing pretty good.
Good.
Yep.
How are you?
Good, man.
Yeah.
Good. So Cody, tell me about yourself.
Year 8 of teaching, recently engaged to the fiance over there. We're doing great. Just bought a house in October. Teaching a couple new classes this year, which is pretty fun. Teaching some older students, which is nice. And actually teaching one of the classes that Larkin's currently taking obviously at a different school right now, but it's nice to kind of help her out every once in a while too. So all in all, pretty good though.
Nice. So is Cody a better teacher than the one that you have?
That's a great question.
Most definitely, probably.
Oh, and
Definitely
for her to
argue a
admit
little
that,
more.
that's
Well, I think
It
she's
says something.
fishing. She knows that she's got to deal with this teacher for 1 year. She's got to deal with you for the rest of your life.
for a long time. Well, I'll be honest, her and I get along great, but I think if we've ever really went wrong, sideways, it's her trying to ask me questions about math. Because I think naturally, all the frustrations that you have as a teacher, you have to maintain your professionalism with other people's kids, with other people, but with her, she asked me a question that I would hear in class. Oh, and I get to take out like what I would want to say in class. I get to take it out with her. So, she'll just ask this question,
What kind of stupid
what's
shit
the,
is this?
exactly. What's the ratio for sine? What kind of question is that? What are you doing? What is this? No, but it's, no, I helped her, I guess a few weeks, maybe a month ago, I helped her with some stuff and it actually went really well. It's been a while since I kind of helped her, probably since middle school, honestly,
Yeah, I try to avoid it.
yeah. And she's had a couple good teachers in recent years past that she's done really well and
Yeah.
she's really enjoyed having. So I haven't really been needed.
Well, middle school, she kind of started disengaging a little bit, and
Yeah, I almost failed Algebra 1, 8th grade.
And no offense, middle school is a weird. It's easy to disengage at that school. There's so much going on at that school. But yeah, understandable. And middle school is a weird time. Weird time for kids.
all right, Larkin, tell us about you.
I am 17, don't have a job. I didn't just buy a house. I am a junior at Man. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And you have no financing, all right,
Mm-mm.
fiance?
Oh, no. No, I do not.
And no time soon.
No time soon.
No. Mm-mm.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, good deal. Well, we're here primarily today to talk about your trip to Europe. You guys, I was really worried about how that was going to play out because y'all are siblings. I mean, you're reasonable, normal,
Mm-hmm.
kids, but at the same time, it's like siblings, man. Like it just gets a little sideways sometimes. And on that trip with the stress, I was like, either they're going to really bond or they're going to really like come back like and really not want to talk to each other for about 2 years.
I mean, I think whenever I was younger, we didn't really get along. But if anything, I think the age gap helps us.
Yeah.
I think it helps us a lot. Because I think if you were my age, I think I would.
Yeah. I mean,
I
I've
would
never
argue a lot
met.
more.
I've met siblings that are a couple years apart that can be in the same room as each other. I don't know. They really, really enjoy each other's company and get along. I'm not saying that it can't happen. And it's when they're teenagers, when they're down the road and they're 30 and 28, it's not going to matter. But with us, when you were younger, we struggled. I mean, I was in college, coming home.
Yeah.
You were basically
Spoiled.
the only child.
You know.
Yeah, you were basically the only child at the time.
But
so
I'm allowed to as a kid.
Oh,
to be
here we
bad, to
go.
say stuff. It is your job as the
Entitlement.
adult.
To
I
deal
mean,
with.
I just think I'm innocent in that situation. I
Yeah.
could have been better,
I
but
think you're always innocent, right? Yeah. But no, I think that our bond during COVID and having to be around each other a lot because I had moved back home. Obviously, you were still here because you just recently mentioned you hadn't bought a house. But yeah, no, we were kind of forced to be around each other all the time and stuff. And we got a lot closer then.
yeah.
We were fine on the trip. Never had any issues. I think
No,
too,
we're
we
fine.
went with a pretty big group. And I'm all for being around kids. I'm around kids for my job literally all the time. And I love working with kids. I actually would enjoy to be around. I like working with kids more than I do adults. I mean, that's part of the reason why, one of the reasons why you become a teacher. But yeah, I think being on a trip with a lot of people you don't know, you kind of gravitate towards someone that you do know for comfort because you're already in a completely different place. I mean, we went to Europe, never been there, don't even recognize some of the food. And then, yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that I thought was really cool about you guys, the opportunity that COVID, believe it or not, I mean, I think COVID was great for y'all's relationship because you were both home. You're a teacher. You're obviously a student, and then, you know, your mom and myself, we both had jobs where we could keep going to work, so we wasn't home. So, you know, if you'd have had a job where you were still at work, she'd have been home by herself all the time, and then, but you guys were able to be there together. And then, what I thought was this really really cool was how much you guys like watched, just binge watched, damn sitcoms, like adult sitcoms that you exposed her to. And her, it's like the amount of her comedy game just like went up. Her like
Oh, yeah.
level. She's got the most adult adult sense of humor.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody that was in that.
Yeah. Yeah. She had already, I would say, I mean, similar to Ken, just one of the funniest people I've been around. And yeah, I mean, we watched Parks and Rec, we watched Scrubs, we watched The Office, we binge watched a lot of movies too.
Harry Potter, Star Wars.
Harry Potter, Star Wars, some of the classics. I mean, Harry Potter for our generation, Star Wars for your generation. But like,
me and her watched all the Rockies together.
yeah.
I've rewatched those like 3 times.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the sitcoms. Yeah, she. I think what's nice too, exposing her to those it was fun because she did pick up on what. I'm not gonna say what's supposed to be funny, but
Hopefully she didn't pick up a lot of the Scrubs.
well, but some.
Scrubs
Well,
is-
Scrubs. Yeah, Scrubs is. But I will say though that sometimes you introduce someone to a comedy, and I'm gonna throw out one of my good friends. My best friend Cam. Cam doesn't like The Office or Seinfeld or you know, and I think the comedy is just different. It's more it's witty, and you have to understand like the perspective where they're writing it from. It's not going to be the Friends comedy, the Joey comedy of just like, I mean,
Right.
it's the obvious stuff. It's going to be a little bit more, you're going to have to kind of dig to get, but the people that find it funny find it hilarious. And it was nice because I felt like she's kind of like that too. So introducing her to shows like that was nice because I knew she would find them funny, and she did. And so, yeah.
So what's your favorite character on, let's say, Seinfeld?
Seinfeld, probably Elaine. Elaine, definitely. She's hilarious.
Can you dance like her?
Definitely not. She's got that one.
No little kicks. You know who was supposed to play Elaine originally?
Who?
Rosie O'Donnell. Well, I'm not gonna say supposed to. She auditioned for the position.
Oh God, I'm glad that.
Well, I did a paper in college about Seinfeld, and you learned about all the people that auditioned for these different roles. And you know, the pilot didn't have Elaine's character in it.
Yeah.
And then NBC execs came to them and were like, "Hey, kind of like this. We like this setup, but you're going to need a female in this show, or it's not going to make." Which, looking back on it, you completely agree. I mean, half the episodes have. I mean,
especially on the Master of Your Domain.
right?
Episode,
Exactly.
definitely
Like that. Like just that episode. Yeah, from a woman's perspective.
Right.
But yeah, Rosie O'Donnell audition, and then Larry David's connection with SNL and Lorne Michaels. I think he suggested that Julia Louis-Dreyfus try out. And anyways, this isn't a Seinfeld podcast, but I thought it was interesting.
So Seinfeld, who was your favorite?
George.
George.
I mean,
Yeah.
partially because I'm a George at heart with a lot of things, and you hear Larry David talk about stuff, and like clean cut, there's an obvious answer, and he will argue to the death of. And I've kind of eased back on my argumentative side. I mean, I used to argue all the time, similar to this one now, but
I don't know about that.
but yeah, no, I've definitely got some George in me, and I think George, Jerry's funny and all, and Kramer's so wild. George, I think, offers the perspective of this is the parallel parking. I pull past the parking space to pull back into the space and parallel park. Meanwhile, a car behind me tries to squeeze in the space. George is like, I'm obviously right. And everyone that watches the show would agree with George. But seeing his frustration throughout the episode and some people in the show agreeing with the other guy, oh no, he pulled in, whatever. And George like, that's not how you parallel park. I think that he offers like the common sense perspective. And that's kind of how I view it. So definitely George. Who was your favorite?
Kramer.
Well, yeah, Kramer. Yeah, Kramer's one of the funniest people ever. Like,
I mean,
on
I
TV.
just think all time, I think he's the funniest guy on any episode of anything.
Man,
I mean,
he's so funny.
But he never had to carry like a show. Like I mean, like he wasn't. He just busted in, did his thing, and it was like a bunch of cameos.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I love The Office for example, but I felt like Michael carried that show, and when Michael left, that show was just different forever, and I didn't like that part of The Office. That I felt like a lot of the humor was carried by one person, or the stupidity or displayed stupidity of one person. What was nice about Seinfeld was there was an episode where they're at
With the cigar when he turned his singing to the cigar.
when they're at the Chinese restaurant and they literally never get a table. They keep telling them that there's 50, like, and it'll be 5-10 minutes or whatever, and keep going. Kramer's not in that episode, and it's still funny. So you couldn't do that on The Office if Michael wasn't there. Where's Michael? So that was what was great about that show.
But they had a lot of people that were equally funny. Like there wasn't really a big drop off. Like even what's the guy's name?
Newman?
No, the dude that no, I'm talking about on
On The Office.
The Office.
Oh yeah, The Office had a ton of people.
Man.
No, I will say, yeah. I mean, I love The Office. The Office is my favorite show, so I still love it. But yeah, I mean, Kevin, Creed has great moments. Yeah, there's a ton. Yeah.
What was the guy's name that hardly ever talked? The black dude. What was his name?
Stanley
killed me, dude.
Stanley, one of the funniest episodes is early on, and this is when you can tell early on with The Office that they push the boundaries of what could be said on television. I don't think that those early seasons could be aired now, but one of the episodes was it was the office staff versus the warehouse staff in basketball to see who was going to have to come into work on the weekend. And Michael's like picking his team, and he's going through, and he's like, Stanley, obviously, and Stanley's like, why obviously? And then and Michael kind of like brushes it off, mentions something else, and then they go down to the warehouse, and they're getting ready, they're stretching, and Stanley starts dribbling the basketball, and Michael's like, what? You got to be kidding me! And he's just like, Stanley's like hand behind his back, like dribbling, like he's never seen a ball before. Like it was funny, yeah. But that's Mike Schur, so and that's why we watch Parks and Rec too, because Parks and Rec is in that same kind of same feel.
Another show that came along and it didn't last as long, but it was the one where they're in the grocery store. They're at the what's the
You
name
talking
of
about the
show?
one that's like modeled after Walmart?
Yeah.
Super Center.
Oh,
I think it's
God.
Super Center. I
Yeah.
watched it a little bit. Yeah, it was funny
And
too.
when that dude cut his finger off.
Oh, no, I
was-
don't remember this
my
episode.
God, there was an episode where he was in there. He wasn't supposed to be doing it. They had closed down the meat department.
Mm-hmm.
And they went back there I'll cut it. I'll do it real quick. And he cut on the little machine. He's going to slice off a few pieces of ham. And it goes,
And
"Zoop," and
literally
he just
cut off
looks,
the finger.
and it's laying on the floor. But anyway,
That's quite the commitment too, because like for shows like that now, you have to either make sure that you never show this guy's hand again or like come up with a way of making it look like it's cut off for the rest of the show. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think they put it back on. I think they got
Yeah, like wrote it in that he somehow got
made
put it in a
costume.
bag of frozen peas, yeah, and it got reattached. Or maybe they grafted a big toe on there somehow. Yeah, something like that.
So, Larkin, Europe. We went to Europe.
Yep.
Y'all went to Europe. I lived vicariously through y'all's photos.
That's right.
But what was your favorite part?
I think both of our favorite parts was like Biarritz.
Yeah,
I mean,
as far as places, yeah.
Yeah, as far as like cities that we went to, probably like my favorite thing that we saw, probably, I mean, the Eiffel Tower is like an obvious one, but I don't know what else. I think that sand dune.
Yeah.
It was pretty
How tall is the
cool.
Eiffel Tower, like stories, like
How-
how
It's
big is
So I will say this, going into it, people said like, "Hey, where are you going?" Or I'd tell people I'm going to Europe, and they say, where at? And I say, oh, we're gonna go to Paris. One of the stops is Paris. We should see the Eiffel Tower. And they said, it's not really that big. And I'd always heard that, it's kind of underwhelming in person or whatever. I
did
did
not
not
think so.
feel that way at all. I thought that thing was huge.
I mean, maybe from far away looking at it, you think it's not that much, but we
Yeah.
were standing at the bottom of
At
it.
the base of it, it's
is
it's significant.
pretty big.
Yeah. I don't I definitely don't think
how
it's
tall is it compared to the Statue of Liberty?
That's a great question. It's
Way-
got to be taller than
way
this.
taller.
Yeah, way taller.
Way taller. I mean, I haven't seen the Statue of Liberty, but
Way taller. I would think.
You're probably you're speaking really strongly about like it's way taller. I've
Yeah.
never seen it. But
No, I mean,
there's no
I'll have to
way.
look that up. But there's no way the Statue of Liberty is even close to that. I wouldn't think.
yeah.
But no, as far as things that places, Biarritz was nice because, well, it was hot over there. It was really hot. We went from the 4th to the 18th of July. So, I mean, even London was in the 90s.
Madrid was 103.
Madrid was 103. That was towards the end of the trip. And what people forget is a lot of those hotels over there do not have AC. If they do have AC, they have laws, because it's conservation of energy laws over there, a lot more strict with, just being smarter about what they're doing. And they will only allow the AC to get your thermostat 5 degrees cooler than what it is outside. So, man, there's times when at night it's 85 degrees and you can only get your thermostat in your room down to 80. And yeah, I'm looking at you because I can imagine you trying to sleep and you're not going to sleep. Like, you're not going to sleep. Luckily, a lot of the hotels that we were in, we're on really high up floors, so we could comfortably open up windows and try to get a breeze in.
Yeah.
But it was really hard
Now, is that
to deal
so
with
people
that.
don't break into your window?
Is it what?
I mean, why are you saying?
Like,
because
why am
you're-
I saying? Because I'm, yeah. I would not open up my window on the first floor. Absolutely not. I mean, it's not because we're in Europe. I wouldn't do that in my own house at night. It has nothing to do with where, but I bring up the temperature because in Biarritz, we happen to have like a 75-degree day. It was one of the first days that we had being there and it was probably at least a week into our trip. Or I'd say pretty close to it. And it was nice. They had a nice little beach, and you had a beach area. But then when you left the beach, it was hilly and it was like a small city in the hills. It was just different. I've never been to a place like that here.
And it wasn't real touristy. Like, that was another thing. It wasn't like packed. Like, it was just a quaint little beach town.
Yeah,
It was really
it was pretty awesome. It was definitely my favorite place to be. Paris, and no offense to Paris, I mean, you go to any big city here, it's going to be dirty and stuff. Paris just wasn't. I've checked those boxes off, but if you told me I had to go back to France right now, if I had to, sorry. I mean, that was a privilege. It was great, but I would not go to Paris. I mean, I've seen the stuff that I needed to see, but like, it would be like seeing the Empire State Building. Okay, you go to the top, great, wonderful. But probably at the base of that building, it's probably not the best place to be. Like, you might want to go see Niagara Falls in the state of New York, or something else there is probably more appealing, especially to my personality. There could be some big city people that love it, but it just wasn't for me to do again. So,
Yeah.
but Biarritz was pretty cool.
I would go back to Biarritz.
Yeah, Biarritz is awesome.
Let's talk about the plane flight. How was that?
It was good. Whenever we took off, we saw fireworks taking off, coming up off the ground. Fireworks. It was on July 4th.
Yeah, because it was July 4th. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, that was.
I'm trying to think. I mean, it wasn't that long of a flight to London. We thought it was going to be way longer.
It's like 5.5, 6,
Yeah.
something like that. It wasn't long.
It was not.
The longest
went
flight
out of
we had was
Boston.
like 7 hours back, maybe.
We
Something-
went out of Boston,
What, you on the
and
space shuttle? The hell was it?
I mean, it was crazy. We thought it was going to be forever, but it was like super short. It wasn't.
Well, for us though, for me, that's definitely the longest flight I've been on. I would think
Well, San Francisco was about 5.
4.5, 5.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
it wasn't that bad. It was not
Yeah.
bad.
I
Pretty-
what?
you get a little scared sometimes on planes.
Well, I'm cool with taking off. So I've flown now probably between a handful and like between 5 and 10 times I've probably flown now. Taking off is cool. I'm cool with that because you're the science and how lift works with planes, as long as you keep your momentum, that plane is going to have no choice. How they're engineered, it's going to have no choice but to go up. So I'm cool with that. But when we landing, I just feel like mechanically there's more that can go wrong that can cause issues with the landing. And I'm not speaking out of experience. I have no idea. Maybe if you look at all the flights in history, there are more deaths or accidents with taking off rather than landing. But
it's usually like just within seconds of taking off.
Right.
Like
But
once you take off, then
yeah, once you're off the ground, I can't imagine unless both engines stall, which the odds of that would be very slim. But landing for me, just sometimes they're pretty rough. And I don't like land. Oh yeah, I mean I like landing once that front end hits and you hear those you can hear. I don't know if they're just reversing the jets or whatever. You can hear that whatever is happening for them to cause us to slow down. That's great. That's fine.
y'all know how bad my claustrophobia is.
Yeah.
But I've gotten way better. Because I went through 4 or 5 years where I was flying all the time.
Yeah.
And but when it first started, because I didn't know I didn't have any kind of claustrophobia issues until we were on vacation. Probably 10, 12 years ago, and we were in the USS Henley, which is a submarine station in
I
Charleston, South
remember
Carolina.
this. I remember
And
this.
This is hard to forget.
That was not pretty because I got down there and it's a national monument or something, like whatever you call it. It's just like
Yeah.
they as you
Things that people to go.
Is
People
it
go
actually
see.
underwater though?
Yeah, I mean it's still underwater. I mean
So we had to
Not
go
the whole-
underwater to
not
get
the
it?
whole-
thing, but
not
it's
the whole
sitting. It's sitting.
it's
in
sitting
the water.
there. Yeah,
No.
And so when you're down in there, you're
you're still
you know,
below.
You're
you're still
underwater.
below the water, but that's not really the problem. The problem is it's a steel freaking tube, and then as you're going through these ports, like probably the width of this room, like every so far, there's like another little port thing. It's like a little oval shape. You got to step up
Yeah.
and duck down at the same time, and even that's not the problem. It's just a combination of now they put plexiglass on all the sides because they doctored up the rooms with little dummies and stuff, make it look like they're in there working, like they're actual sea people, right? So whatever, you call
Right.
them, not sea urchins.
They did the same in Alcatraz. They don't want you they want you to get
Right,
the visual of what people experience, so they put a dummy or something in there, a mannequin. But yeah. But they don't want you touching it.
Let me tell you who the dummy was. Tell you who the hell the dummy was. The dummy was the woman that bumped into me.
Oh yes,
Because
that's right.
I'm looking and I get through about 3 of those tubes, and now I'm starting to realize, it's the summertime. There's no air conditioning, and I'm looking, dude. You can't even do this. Like you're hitting plexiglass, right?
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
pretty
still
narrow
there.
through there. Yeah.
And I'm looking for sunlight. I just need to see sunlight. Dude, I'll feel better. Feel better with sunlight.
Give me some sun.
Well, through about 3 tubes forward, I can see a little sunlight because it's, I guess, the middle.
Like coming in through the
where
top.
the shoes cut, right.
Yeah.
But nobody's moving. They're sitting there staring at the damn dummies in the little plexiglass.
Oh,
Like,
look at
dude,
that mannequin.
There's nothing to see here, people. That's not a real person.
Yeah.
He ain't freaking working, man.
Knocking on the glass. Hey, buddy, come here.
No, let's keep it moving, right?
Right.
So I'm just, as I'm focusing forward, I can see the light. So it's like the light in the tunnel. I'm really good.
You're
about
there.
myself.
You're there.
I'm like, man, I'm going to get through this. And then some woman bumps into the back of it. And I messed around and turned around and looked, and I saw nothing but humanity. It was just flesh, like mounds of flesh, man.
Ooh,
As
yeah.
far as I could look.
Why
And
is that
she was-
bad?
Because she was built like an NFL fullback.
Urlacher. We're gonna call her Urlacher. That was a linebacker, by the way.
She was 4'10"
Right.
and
Bowling ball.
bowling ball.
Bowling ball.
Then I start, now my mind immediately goes, okay, how do I get out of here? Like, what's my game plan? In this moment right now, I have to get out. What's my plan? I'm running through this bitch behind me. So, because I figured my math was that light is only halfway. And it might not be, but if I drew a submarine, that light would be halfway from the submarine, and we're not even there yet. So the quickest route for Ken to save his own life is to go back this way. So I black out. I don't remember what happened. I have no clue. The next thing I know is I'm sitting on the concrete outside, panicking, and I'm looking at my hands and they're shaking. And I'll let Cody tell you what he saw.
Yeah, this is so hard. I will say, hearing it from your perspective is so interesting because there are people that struggle with like panic attacks, anxiety, claustrophobia, and I'll be honest, in a constricted enough situation, I would get to that point. Like I've been seeing these clips of cave divers, these people that are going in that are literally squeezing through places that they are having to shimmy through. And they're taking these GoPros down there, and I'm putting myself in that situation, and Jacqueline can't watch them. Like, she's like, I can't watch it. It'll give me anxiety just looking at it myself, which I get because when you watch it, it's just like watching Alex Honnold free solo El Capitan. Like it makes your hands start sweating, and I can get there with that. But with the submarine, I don't get there with that, but you do. Like, and you kind of wonder, like, everyone has that point of like, okay, I'm here now. And obviously you got there. But what I saw was just a nice, calm line of people walking through what was a normal day. And the next thing I see, and we go back to a scene from Seinfeld. I'll tell you a scene from Seinfeld. George is at a birthday party, and he walks in the kitchen and sees smoke, and he realizes there's a fire at this birthday party. And he turns around and he starts mowing down the grandma, the mom, the children. He's stiff-arming people left and right. He, like, self-preservation to the max. I am getting myself out of here. That's what I saw. I saw, like, dad sprinting. And here's the thing, like, you're with me, mom's with me. Like, I'm trying to picture, like, what would cause you to run out. Like a phone call saying Larkin's been in a car accident. A phone call saying me and mom have been in a car accident. Yeah, I'd see you sprinting that way. But like, we're all there. So I just see him sprint down and I'm like, what is going on? And keep in mind, we were not aware of this. This was your first big moment with this, I would say. Maybe you've had other moments.
No, that was it.
Yeah.
That was the
so
kickoff.
we weren't aware. We weren't aware of this at all. So ever since this day, though, we were. Like, once that had happened, it started to, like, show itself, I guess, more and more. But yeah, I just saw a blur. I did not black out. I was definitely
we were
aware
in
of it all.
Pittsburgh, me, you, and mom. And there's this thing in Pittsburgh, I don't know if you remember this, but it's like a little...
Yeah. That's the thing that comes down the mountain.
It's
Like the cables?
Little trolley.
Like the cable car,
Yeah,
whatever.
cable car that goes down, but it like goes down and you're like in the city and you have to go back up to get back up.
It's over on Mount Washington.
I've seen it.
And so we had waited in line for a while. It was a while. And we go to get in, and it's pretty small. It's not like tiny. Like it's nice in there, whatever.
I mean, an idea of how wide?
I mean, it was just like little benches.
It was literally like half this room, and there's like benches. It's like half this room.
I remembered it being bigger.
Bigger than half this room?
Maybe a little bit longer.
Okay. Either way, that's fine. I'm just trying to wrap my head, but it's like more room than a car. Like, I mean, like you got.
Yeah,
room.
you're good.
Okay.
Yeah. And we like sit down, and as they're about to close the doors, Dad just gets.
I said nope.
Dad just gets up, goes out.
Really?
Yeah.
And we were so close because if we had went down, we would have been all the way down in the city.
I would get to that point for a different reason. Like, I would say nope, because I've had some thought of this thing like breaking down and me dying, and falling to my death. Right, but not because of the claustrophobia of the space.
It's because I'm closing and I don't have the option to get out. Once it started going down, that door closed, I didn't have the option to get out.
Oh, see, I will say this. If that thing fell and I was falling to my death inside the thing and I couldn't get out of it, that wouldn't bother me as much as I was falling to my death. Like, it doesn't matter that I can't escape it. Like,
No, but you have no chance. Like, if I'm being a car wreck, throw me from the car. I'll take my chances. Learning how to damn fly.
No.
But don't let
the car accident I got in, I would have died if I would have been thrown from that car. I would have went through the windshield 50 feet and I would have died. Like, literally would have died.
Okay, well, I was in Rock Hill for a while, and my uncle was on the rescue squad.
Right.
And 2 different times I went with him on calls, and people were trapped in the car.
Yeah.
And they had Jaws of Life come out there and cut woman out. And they ended up leaving like part of her arm in the car.
What?
Like it was, her arm was like detached from her body. So when they went to pull her out, yeah, it was. So what I'm saying is, what I saw was like the not being able to get out is what drives me crazy. Like, that's what bothers me more than anything, right? So
yeah, but the way that I look at it is,
well, let me tell you about plane flying, like flying in planes.
Right.
What that happened before I'd ever had a problem with, and I'd been in 3 or 4 planes before that. Crazy. After that, I'd probably been in 25 or 30. But then once you experience that and you lose control of your own, like you literally black out and you don't have control. It's not like a decision that I make, okay, I'm about to lose my freaking mind and act like a damn idiot.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to come, and it worries me, it stresses me, it makes me like worry about it even more, like, because I don't want to do that. So, but so here's the proof that it's not the flight, it's not crashing, it's not being that high up. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's simply being in a situation I can't get out of it. I can't move, because I had opportunity when I had my photography company, before they had drones and everything flying around, to get aerial shots. I got hired by
I remember this
Pickens County Chamber of Commerce.
Well, 2-seater,
and I got
whatever.
to get in a little and literally the front seat and back seat and everything that you fly the plane with would fit on this table. Like, I'm
no thanks.
I'm like, my arms are hanging out.
Oh,
it comes to a V. I'm back here. This guy's head is like right here. I'm wedged in. He's sitting there. I could reach around him and touch the handles, and it's just a little plane. And we were up there banking.
You pass out, buddy. I got you.
Take it over. I'm spooning the pilot.
Yeah.
And we're just flying around, dude. And I've got my camera, so he's banking so I can get the pictures of these different buildings and all around Pickens County. We're up at Table Rock taking photos.
Yeah, I remember the pictures. They were awesome.
Awesome pictures.
They were.
Didn't bother me a bit, dude. Like, I'm just up there.
How does that not bother you?
Because I was free, dude. I was out. Like,
but man, you could freely fall to your death. What does that mean?
Because it's the claustrophobia. It's the claustrophobia is what the phobia is.
You just want to be in control of your death. All right, I'm falling. Let me jump out. All right, thank goodness I can control this.
It reminds me of a comedian that said one time, he said, if you fall, your first instinct is to yell when you fall. Like, ah. But if you fall from a real, like, way up there, and say you fall out of a plane and you don't have a parachute, like, you're dying, and that's a 45-second fall, you start yelling out of instinct, but then you run out of air. So you're like, ah.
Yeah, exactly.
I many times
Exactly.
you get through yelling?
So let me ask you. If I had to, if we had to smuggle you, if we for some reason had to smuggle you, and like, hey man, cops are looking for you. You got to get in the trunk of this car.
I'm not Ray Caruth. I'm not doing it, bro. No.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I laugh at that only because I've seen Kings of Comedy, but I don't know that story. I don't know the Ray Caruth story. I just know Steve Harvey. I can think of Steve Harvey talking about Ray Caruth and how much of an idiot he was. Didn't they catch him in Nashville or something?
No other black people, bro.
Yeah, in Nashville.
And they show it on the news. They're like, he's thinking, man, Ray, you better not be in that damn trunk.
Yeah,
Ray, you better not be in that trunk. And Ray's dumbass.
He's in the trunk, and I remember him talking about if he played hide and seek, he would be the guy behind the tree and like, Ray, you're supposed to go hide. I'm already hiding. So yeah, you couldn't get in the trunk of a car. Yeah, I mean, I get it, and like I said, I think everyone has the point to where you would feel that, like, no doubt, because I'll be honest, I still think, and I don't experience claustrophobia as much, but I feel like I've had like a dabble with it. Being buried alive, buried alive.
Let's not even talk.
Well,
Kill Bill when she was like punching.
Well, no, I bring this up because Mr. Beast, famous YouTuber,
I saw that.
I mean, for content, he buried himself alive for a week. He had cameras down there, and he had food. He had MREs down there and stuff. And dude, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And that would be. I mean, that's not the line. The line would be before that, obviously. But I can imagine myself being down there, and I would go absolutely crazy. So yeah, I mean, I
don't
get
think
it.
the people that normally end up in a situation plan to do it. I mean, I don't have a doubt that like if I was in a situation where I didn't have an option, I wouldn't die. But what I worry about when I would get on planes, and the reason I would dope myself up, because I would take lorazepam and sleeping pills, and I'd be so drugged up. And it was fine when I went to places where I would be picked up by an Uber or a shuttle bus or something to take me to an event. But when I got back home, I had to drive my own car back home. And it's like, well, I can only be so jacked up. You mean, so I would get home sometimes and just have to sit in my car for like 2 or 3 hours just to kind of let all that get out of my system. But
well, I'll tell you, how about this? I'll give you a scenario of a story, the most scared I've ever been, and she was with me. And we'll see if you would be scared in this situation. We go out to San Francisco with me, her, and Mom. And one of the things that we do out there is we go see El Capitan and Half Dome and all that. And the ride up there, we're on a Greyhound bus. And it's hard for me to even think about this.
I have a video of this in my phone.
Yeah, I mean, I really struggled with this. So when you are driving up to this thing, it's about a 5 to 8 mile. I know that's a pretty big gap, but I can't really remember. I mean, it's 5 to 8 mile stretch of winding roads, and you are going up this mountain. But the problem is that they have no guardrails. They only have guardrails for people going back down. So if you imagine we're approaching a curve to the left, if we're going up the mountain, no guardrail. But if you're going down the mountain, they have a guardrail. If for some reason their brakes went out and they couldn't slow down, they would be able to hit the guardrail going back down. So when we're driving up, and now keep in mind it's in a bus, all right? And you know this about buses. When you turn in a bus, like if we're turning at a light, it almost looks like you're about to hit the car. Like you go further up in a bus. You got to take these turns wider. So we're driving up this cliff. And now keep in mind, there's also this story about this guy, this attorney or this lawyer who tried to kill his family by driving his Tesla off the cliff. Do you remember this? And they lived. They lived because this dude drove his family off the cliff, a 250-foot drop in a Tesla, and it landed on its wheels, and they happened to survive. And then this guy got charged with attempted murder, and now he got put away. But, I mean, they should have died 100%. So this whole thing, that story had surfaced, and that story was going around at the same time. So we're going up this cliff with no guardrails, and sure enough, when we go to approach this turn, it looks like you're driving off the cliff, man. And like I've driven on motorcycles with you before. I'm like leaning in the bus, like trying to get
As
away
if
from
that's doing
like as if that's
anything.
But I was so scared.
Yeah, I
like,
have a video. We were turning a corner, and I was honestly just taking a video of the view. It was a cool view. And I go over to Cody, and he's like this in the seat.
67-year-old people, couples in there going to see Half Dome and all this stuff, perfectly fine, reading books, and I feel like I'm on death's doorstep.
Mom was a little scared too. I was completely fine.
Oh, I was nervous. And I think Mom was playing that mom role, even for me as a 28, 29-year-old man at the time, like, I'm going to have to be the brave one here and not be scared. But it was so bad. And I told her going back down, I said, hey, I can't do this going back down. So we're going to have to get me some Benadryl or something.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to have, oh, yeah.
Drugged him up.
Going back down was so much better because you are on the wall side. No, you're on the inside. You're on the wall side the whole time.
Yeah, you did.
So that's another thing that was bad about going up. The thing is you're on the cliff side. So I had the windows, or I was not on the window seat. We switched, but I looked out the window. You can't see anything there. You can't see road out the front or the side. You're just looking at a drop off, man. No, but it goes back. I bring this up because it's the not controlling it part. If I was driving that, I'd been fine. I would. Because I would know that I'm going to pay attention and I'm not going to screw this up. Maybe that bus driver's having a bad day. Maybe he's a little tired. Maybe he decides, you know what? Let's drive this bus off this cliff. And like, I didn't know. So that's what made it worse for me. Where like feeling like I don't have control. I think it's more of a control thing than a heights thing or anything else. Mm-hmm. And that's why it bothered me more. Making that drive would be easier if I was in control. Would say that.
Yeah.
But anyways.
I mean, I think that's something that you should be like a little scared of. Like, I think anyone should be. And I don't know, I was talking to this about the other day with you, but I don't know if like it's a good or bad thing that I don't get scared about that. Like whenever real life stuff happens.
Oh yeah, we were having this conversation about being aware of just things around you and not.
Yeah, like just
in the slideshow, we're going to talk about something in a little bit.
Okay.
Oh yeah, talking about the Euro trip. Oh yeah.
So what are you scared of?
Like paranormal things, like things that definitely won't happen, but things that do happen, I don't really care. It makes no sense because like I can watch serial killer documentaries, all that stuff about real life stuff that people have done all day, but I cannot watch a horror movie. Absolutely not. I will not sleep. And it's like, it doesn't make sense to me though. Because like, I don't think that serial killer, I don't think that would ever happen to me. But there's for sure going to be a ghost in my closet. Like, definitely. Like, you know, like, I don't know the science behind it, but.
Well, but the horror movies are designed to, I think it hits on stuff that it's presented in a different way. I mean, the stuff that's depicted, like when you watch a Ted Bundy documentary, I mean, they don't show him chopping up people and stuff.
Yeah, it's
like,
not trying to scare you.
No, I mean, you obviously know that he's doing all this stuff, but the horror movie shows the worst in the situations, the people being tortured, all this stuff. Yeah. I think that probably helps with the sensory part of feeling that fear.
Yeah.
But you're not, I mean, you're realistic, I would say, or like you would say the odds are of that happening to me are slim. So that's why you're happening? Not like the
cliff,
like no, the serial killer, like that stuff.
Oh yeah.
So that's why it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if the potential threat of that presented itself, you would be.
And it's just like the paranormal thing. It's almost like there's not enough information on it, like if it's real or not.
It's an unknown.
So that's what.
The not knowing.
Is not knowing like when that could happen, like if a person just comes in my house, like I can hear the door open. If it's like a ghost, like what do you do?
Yeah.
You don't hear anything.
Seems to present itself more when you're on drugs. I'm kidding.
Is that directed?
No. Mm-hmm. No. Mm-hmm. No.
Well, let's look at some slides from the Europe trip. See what we got going on here. So this is, what is that?
This is Buckingham Palace.
Yep.
Yeah, this is basically, there's a big gate around it. And so people that have been there are aware of this big black gate. It's pretty tall. And you can't see, I don't think, in this picture, but there are guards all throughout. And I don't know if did we see the changing of the guard? I don't think we did. It happens every other day or something like that. It's something weird. Well,
it's
like
just
an
where
official changing of the guard. They switch out still, but it's like the ceremonial changing of the guard only happens anyways, I think I'm getting that right, but I seem to remember it not happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's Buckingham Palace.
The only place that y'all saw, was that the only place that you saw the guards with the red coats?
No, we saw them at Windsor too, because that was that's still a part of the royal family and all. I mean, that's where Queen Elizabeth was buried, was up at Windsor, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're still there. And a matter of fact, we saw the guards there really not throw down. They didn't lay hands on somebody, but they were not happy. It was like they have these.
I thought they popped up the kid out there. I thought you said they.
I thought they did.
I don't. No, they didn't. They didn't hit.
I thought
kid.
I heard.
No.
The sound.
No, they didn't hit the kid. But what it was they told whoever it was that was like against the ropes. And if you imagine these old movie theater aisles with the little felt ropes that are kind of like the to kind of filter through a line, that's kind of like what they have. And somebody had gotten a little too close and kind of reached across, or it's like a little kid had went underneath, and I guess the parents realized it. And the guards are very step away from the gate or whatever, and then the kid did it again, and then he was pissed. I mean, he was livid, and the kid started crying, and it was a bad look for everyone, at that point. But yeah, he was not happy. Not happy.
So they don't like kids over there? Is that what we're saying?
Kids that are on the wrong side of the ropes, they do not. Yeah.
Frown on that.
Yeah, they don't like. Yeah, they don't care for kids, I guess, in that way.
So did y'all get to go inside that place, or everything was outside?
No. No, I don't think. I think.
Well, we went inside a little bit for the Queen Elizabeth thing. That was inside.
Inside of Windsor. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I knew you didn't go inside the ropes.
No. You pointed.
Buckingham Palace.
You pointed, so I thought you were referring to the picture of Buckingham Palace. No, no one goes inside there except for people that actually have some things to do. I don't think there's any. I mean, maybe there's days, or maybe there's an option to get
even the White House,
a tour of the inside. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah, we did not. But we did go inside Windsor. We did see where Queen Elizabeth had recently been buried, and that was all. I think the thing for me that was. I guess it was not the strangest thing, but the thing that kind of hit home with me the most is, I'm there and we're on vacation. We're enjoying the view of these new things. We're taking pictures and all this stuff. But, there's people that are legitimately there to mourn the queen that had served for 70 years. And I think that was very strange to kind of be in the same, because you imagine you're having a funeral for someone that you might not, it's not immediate family, but someone that you feel close to. For these 70-year-old people that are in there mourning Queen Elizabeth, that has been the queen for them their whole life. And, it's not looked at like a president is for us. I mean, it's totally different. So, I mean, there's legitimate loss in their heart for that. Mm-hmm. And then in the same moment that they're mourning one of the worst deaths, we're having the best time of our lives. And it's not that we're celebrating her death, but it's just different. And so we had some kids on that trip, and I felt like they were being a little inconsiderate of the situation. And obviously, they're 16, 17-year-old kids. They're not going to be as much aware of this scenario as I am. So I get it. And I cut them some slack a little bit, but at the same time, I turned around and gave them a very stern, hey, you need to relax. It was right around the time that you could actually view where she had recently been buried. And it was what? I mean, how long after was it? It wasn't too long after her death, I don't think.
She died. I don't know why I remember this. So don't ask. Like September of
the year before.
Yeah.
No. Oh, really?
As I remember.
Maybe that's the first time they could get there.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I could visibly see people that were in there that were like to their knees upset, like full out, like emotional. And I just thought, yeah, let's not be too happy in here.
I don't even know what you would compare that to. It's kind of like if you went to Michael Jackson's funeral and Tito and Janet and everybody was all sad and you're just dressed in the Michael Jackson outfit, moonwalking, and be like celebrating, like.
Yeah, but like even with that, well, yeah, but even for that, it's hard for me. Oh yeah, I mean, I guess it would be like that. I mean, I don't know about moonwalking, but it was different. It was if. It's weird because the destination was why we were there. We were not there to mourn the loss. Yeah. So it's weird that, so if Kobe had been buried at the Hollywood Hills sign, it would be like me taking pictures at the Hollywood Hills sign while Vanessa Bryant is there mourning the death of her daughter and her husband. Right. That's kind of, and that's even a bad analogy because Vanessa was the immediate family. It would be like someone else who was there mourning the death of Kobe, maybe just a native of LA, a local fan, I guess.
And if you wasn't, you'd obviously have to have been a LeBron fan. So.
Yeah, exactly. So if I wasn't in tears there, maybe I should just have like a St. Vincent high school jersey on or something. Right. Number 23.
All right, what's another place that y'all went? Let's see what's coming up here.
Was that Windsor?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Windsor. So that's not where
the Queen.
That's not where she was buried. She
wasn't
wasn't buried there, but yeah, you could not have your phone where the Queen was buried. No.
Take pictures. I forgot about that.
No, strictly prohibited. We still saw people doing it. Still people in our group doing it. Managed to get a couple pictures, but they didn't want any of that.
Good thing that child beating guard wasn't over there.
Right. Yeah. He would have blown his whistle extra loudly. Yeah, whipped out the baton or pair of scissors or whatever it is they carry over there.
Pepper spray.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, what you got there?
This is McDonald's.
This is McDonald's over there. I'll be honest, and the people that listen to this, they're gonna be like, all right, you're over in London, Paris, Barcelona, all this stuff, and you're eating McDonald's. I think part of the attraction for us with the food, you want to try new things, and we did try some new things. We had crepes over there, we had croissants over there, and as far as like how they eat them, but we did want to try the things that we were familiar with and their take on it. How was it different? I think that was more exciting for me. How much different is McDonald's over there than it is over here? And I don't eat McDonald's over here anymore. Like I can't tell you the last time I was at McDonald's over here. But I did want to see like how different is it? And I'll be honest with you, it's not very different. I mean, those nuggets in that picture, they tasted.
They didn't have honey mustard.
Oh yeah. Now the condiments and drinks at every place are going to be totally different.
Yeah, like they don't give you like plastic cups like those, or like, you know what I mean.
Just how they bring it to you.
Yeah, it's
like the
so
paper
different.
cups. Like if you went to McDonald's and got a medium drink, nah. Like they bring it to you in like a cafeteria cup.
Like it wasn't in. There's no like box Happy Meal, no cardboard. Like it's just very. Like, that's literally how they brought it out to us in that picture on that plate.
Yeah.
Exactly like that.
And the 3 sauces they had were they always had barbecue sauce.
Yeah, they did have barbecue.
I forget. Nice.
There's a yellow one in that picture that I'm trying to remember what the name of it is.
It was like a Asian sauce. Like a
Yeah.
I forget what the flavor was, but it was like 3 distinct sauces, barbecue being one. There was a white one, but it wasn't ranch. I can't remember, but the condiments were different. at McDonald's as far as like the things you could get on the side. As far as the food though, I felt like the fries were different, weren't they? Did we get fries?
I don't remember them even having fries.
Yeah, to be honest, maybe no, they had fries. Well, they had fries over there. I just don't know if we got them from McDonald's. Yeah, the nuggets though were very similar. The drinks were different. They're huge on Fanta over there.
Yeah, I got Fanta. They were
Fanta is taking over the whole place. Like Fanta over here is Fanta, like
though.
Who cares about Fanta? Fanta's like the 20th soda you think of.
I love Fanta. Fanta's like top 3.
Yeah. I mean, I don't drink a lot of soda in general.
You went over there, or it always was?
No, it's always been. Even when I was at golf camp, they just have a big bin of sodas, and I always get a Fanta, grape or orange Fanta.
Only in the United States.
Pineapple Fanta is the best Fanta.
A big bin of sodas at summer golf camp. You know, Mountain Dew, I've been recently told that Mountain Dew over there in Europe in some places, it may even be in London, is considered an energy drink with how much sugar it has. They have to label it as an energy drink.
Oh my God.
I mean, I think we just looked at it, how many grams of sugar. It was like 45 or 50.
I think it's been
50.
I thought it was in the 60s.
It's probably been 20 years since I've had a Mountain Dew.
Dude, if you had a Mountain Dew, you'd be ready to run through a brick wall right now. I mean, 50 grams of sugar.
Come to think of it, that's probably what happened in that day when I went down in the submarine.
Yeah.
I had a Mountain Dew and it kicked in.
Yes, that's what it was. And then you was like, I just want to run through these people.
Yeah.
Jacqueline and I have bought these sodas that are healthy alternatives to like soda. They're still carbonated beverages, but they're like less than 45 grams or 45 calories, and there's 5 grams of sugar or less. Some of them don't even have caffeine. If some of them do have caffeine, it's like natural caffeine from green tea or whatever. And caffeine doesn't bother me. I drink sweet tea all the time. So like that's not to say that that's a great thing to advertise, but like it's, it's fine. But even those sodas are definitely sweet enough. And there's not aspartame in them. It's not like it's like, 5 grams of sugar, but then there's loads of Splenda in it. It's not like a gotcha. They're sweet enough. Like they taste great.
That's what they should call a soda. Bro, they just take the sugar out and just put something like gotcha. Like
yeah, gotcha. Yeah, and it's just full of aspartame. Yeah. But like, they're totally fine. And when we drink them, like I can drink one before I go to bed. And I'm telling you right now, if I drank a Mountain Dew right now, I would be sick to my stomach. Like sick, like nauseous. But these are fine. They don't, and you get that craving, that you crave something carbonated. That's fine, and it knocks that off. But while not getting the extra 45 grams of sugar.
So let's go back to the food over there. So they're like hardcore against sugar at all.
And I've learned this from Jacqueline. After Jacqueline's my fiance, by the way, people are listening. I've learned this from her. They don't even allow a lot of the like red 40, like these dyes that go in foods and all this stuff. They're very much ahead of us of like, hey, we're all for like having some stuff that's processed, but we're gonna draw the line of like, okay, this is just purely bad for you. We're not gonna allow it. So like, I think there's some dyes, like whatever makes our blue Jolly Ranchers or whatever that dye is called. Nah, they don't allow it. So find another way to make your candy blue naturally, I guess, but not with this. So yeah, they are. And then their portion sizes are smaller, I feel like.
Yeah, I think that we had was it a chicken sandwich? I think that was pretty big.
Are you talking about in France?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big.
Yeah, what part of France was that in again?
Versailles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there was like a little, not really like a festival. It was like a market. It was like a market, and there was like a little brunch place that we went into. We found time to actually sit down and eat, which is kind of hard to do. You think you're over there for 2 weeks. You think you'd have 30, 45 minutes to sit down and eat, but not when they plan out your entire trip and you're on schedule. So as much as I would have liked to sit down and try more food over there, they really kind of restricted us based on what we were doing. And if there was one knock on this trip, I would say, and for anyone that goes on a trip that is already kind of like planned out for you, is the food is one of, if not the main reason you go to travel. is you want to try some different foods. That's part of the cultural, like the shift and the change of what's here. But I felt like our trip was solely dedicated to, let's go look at this old church. Let's go look at this old church. Let's go look at this bridge. Let's go look at this tower. And by the way, we'll feed you along the way. It could be a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It could be chicken, rice, and potatoes. But it wasn't, they didn't plan. Yeah, they didn't plan around the food like that. That would be one knock that I mean, that I had.
So what was your favorite stuff that you did eat? That was the local stuff.
We had these chocolate churros in Madrid.
Yeah,
that were really good.
They were good.
He liked the crepes.
I like the crepes and the croissants that they had.
I didn't like
and I'll say this about the bread in France, or just any bread over there. You know, you eat a lot of bread over here that you get from the store that's, you know, just plain old white bread, whatever. And I mean, you know this being on carnivore, like bread expands in your body and you get like overly full. Like if you eat pizza over here, like, man, you're going to like blow up and you're going to feel sick. Not in the moment that you're eating it, after you kind of are done eating for about 30 minutes. Then you're going to feel like, oh my goodness, did I eat an extra 4 slices? What's wrong? Like, why do I feel like this? Not over there. And I know that we were walking around a lot. We were also burning a ton more calories. We were probably taking 15, 20,000 steps a day. Whereas versus, I'll kind of give people an idea. Back like here, it's like an average of, I would say, between 7,000 and 10,000 steps for me a day. I would say is like a normal day for me.
I checked my thing one time, because I never check like how many steps I do. I didn't even really know it was on my phone. I took 5 steps one day.
That's just sad. I mean, you must have like hopped to the. Like, how does that even? Like what? I mean, no. I mean, I guess 5 steps that you had your phone on you. You must have just been like. I mean, because obviously not.
Where I went in 5 steps.
Yeah, your phone must have been dead, and it must have just been sitting. I mean, yeah.
What's bad is that was round trip, so you had to take 2.5 steps.
Right, 2.5 steps. Hop, tiny step forward. Toilet.
I take big steps, probably. That's just what it was.
Yeah. No, but I would say that the bread over there did not make me feel like overly full.
Yeah, you didn't get like bloated. You didn't feel like
no
that.
Bloated. Yeah, bloated's the word I've been searching for the last 4 minutes on this podcast. You did not feel bloated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Women use that word a lot, so
leave
it to Larkin to say that they
Good job.
But no, that's
bloated.
Well, I've noticed that to buy good bread, you know, my grandmother, I know Jacqueline's making bread for you now, sourdough, stuff like that. And
delicious.
My grandmother always had the sourdough starter always up in the windowsill and starting it for people and
fresh yeast,
kind of helping them out.
The yeast rolls too.
Yeah.
Gosh.
But that's the only time I really had like homemade bread.
Yeah.
But then, like, you go down to the farmer's market on Saturdays, you know, during the summer, spring and summer here in Greenville and a lot of places. But you have the Amish people set up their little booth and you can buy their bread. And my God, it's different. It's the same thing.
It's a totally different experience of what you've had. It would be like eating pizza at Papa John's versus eating pizza at Lucali in Brooklyn. Like, I mean, it's not even in the same conversation. Like, this is 2 different things at this point. Yeah, so that's kind of how I felt about it.
All right, what's our next slide? What do we got? Oh, Larkin.
This is me actually holding the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. So I will say one thing that we did not include a picture of. I mean, there was nothing to take a picture of. You were underground, but getting from London to Paris, we rode on the Channel.
Oh, I have a picture of that, but it's
Yeah. I just don't think we have it on the slideshow. But yeah. I mean, we took pictures. But anyways, so
what's it called?
It's called the Channel.
It was like literally to get on it. It's almost like the same process as like going on a plane. Like you go through your passport, all that stuff, but it literally goes from London to Paris like an hour.
Did they blend 2 words together? Where did they come up with channel?
I don't know.
You know, you go through water.
You don't go through water though. You don't go through water. That's like the common misconception with this. So what it is, it's a really fast like bullet train.
I know what you're talking about.
And the train leaves from London and you're flying and you're above ground, like, and you're hauling, man. I mean, you're moving, but there's nothing getting in your way out here. Like, there's no reason to stop. There's no one. I don't even think there's anyone allowed to cross. I don't even know if anything crosses over this, maybe, but I don't.
Are those like, I know I've seen them in Japan where they're shooting through like mountains and stuff, but they're built up on these rails that are up. So if anything does cross, it's going underneath.
Maybe. I felt like we were pretty low at some points, but maybe so. But as you're approaching, because there's water obviously between the UK and where France is. So at some point in time, you're going to have to either cross water or, what are we going to do? And so they engineered this train to a machine. Listen to this. A machine in the UK starts digging. A machine in France starts digging a tunnel. They tunnel all the way down, so far down into the earth to where it's underneath the water. So however deep the water is that you should be crossing, you're going underneath that significantly. And they meet, and that connects them and makes the tunnel for this train. And so then you might be wondering, well, what did they do from there? Like, how did they get these two machines out from underneath? They didn't.
Reverse?
They didn't. They just turned off and buried themselves. They left them underground. They're under there. They couldn't get them back out. So they merged, they connected to make this tunnel. And then those machines that dug out this earth that paved the way for this thing, they're still underneath the earth. They never recovered them. And then they built the tracks, and that's what the tunnel's on. You're only underneath the actual water. You're not submerged. People were thinking like you're in a tube in the water. No, you're actually underneath the water. You imagine a bowl of water and you're underneath the bowl.
For me, that's worse.
Right. But you're only underneath for like 15, 20 minutes.
And it's just pitch black.
I will say this though, you can feel how cold it gets. Like you can feel that, oh yeah, you're under there now. But yeah, you're in there 15, 20 minutes. But it makes me think about whenever I heard that when we were over there, when they built the big house, Michigan Stadium, they had a big crane in the middle of the field, putting the whole stadium together. And then after the stadium was put together, the crane couldn't get out. So they had to dig a hole underneath the field and bury the crane. There's a crane underneath Michigan's football field that made that stadium. Yes. There is a crane underneath that football field.
And nobody thought that let's build it all the way up and let's leave about a 30 foot
Yeah.
and go out and build it from the outside.
But the big house is kind of in underground a little bit. So like, it's not. Most of the stadiums are not built that way.
Right.
Nowadays, if you look at the big house from the outside, it doesn't look like the big house. It looks like a stadium that's about that, because the majority of the seats are actually down in the under the earth's surface. So, but yeah, I'll never forget. I heard that story. I was thinking that's wild.
The tunnel. We just don't know how they came up with that name.
Yeah, I'd have to look into. I really don't know, but yeah, it's pretty fast. I forget how long that train ride is. I think it's
like an hour
and a half. Yeah, hour and a half, 2 hours. That's not too long. But it's, it just cuts down on costs. And actually, there are more that go throughout Europe. It's not just London to Paris, right? I mean, I think they have more that go from different countries. It's just very efficient for them. But since you're crossing over into another country, you still
whenever we crossed over from France to Spain, it was like nothing. It was literally like us just going to like Georgia. Like, there's no, like, we weren't stopped. There was no passport check. It was literally like a breeze. And it's just like, it's crazy to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering, so when you look at these places and you hear about them, you feel like, like Scotland undoubtedly is like the size of South Carolina or something. It's not like.
Yeah, I'm terrible with that kind of stuff, but yeah.
But it's like when you take all these people, when you call them countries, it's amazing. Imagine from South Carolina to Tennessee that they speak completely different languages, and that is crazy.
Yeah, but
how everything is so.
Yeah, I think that's explained more with who conquered those lands in the past and who brought languages to that area. Because like I think that they speak Portuguese in Brazil mainly because Portugal dominated that war with whoever, and I think I think that's why. Whereas the people who settled in our land, that created our land, all were the people that spoke English.
Well, my point is that like you have an entire language of the French language,
right?
But France is actually like a very small. You mean like because right over here they speak Spanish, and right over here they speak English, and like it's just you think okay, France they speak French in this region. Well, this region is like the size of damn Virginia. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You mean like
It's
just crazy that there's that much culture
in one small land.
Such a small area.
Yeah.
All of Europe is what, 30 United States, roughly.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spain's probably the biggest.
At least Western
I would
Europe,
think
for sure.
Spain's the biggest.
I have no idea. Yeah, I'm terrible with geography and that stuff as far as like landmass and everything. Spain's probably, I would think, pretty big.
Yeah.
So in that area, so when you're over there, you're in that region of the world. So like when you, and again, I'm kind of comparing it to how we, within the United States, there's like a pecking order. You know what I mean? Like Florida just feels like they're better than everybody else. You know
yeah,
like
except
Texas.
for when you drive with them on the road, then they're horrible. Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like when you're amongst the, like, is France kind of look up like to England? Is England the big dog?
France thinks they're the superior one.
I think France thinks that, well, I don't want to say it like that. I will say that France kind of turns their noses up at Americans. I feel like when you're over there, now I can see both sides of it. I will say that Americans that would typically tour over there, you probably make little to no effort to try to speak French. You just go in there yapping your English and like hoping that everyone kind of adjusts to your needs. And so I don't think that the French people take to that too kindly. I think they would like to see a little bit of respect in terms of, hey, try to communicate. We might laugh at you a little bit, but it's all in good fun, and then we'll help you. But at least like respect kind of what we do over here. Whereas if French come over here and try to start speaking some French in QT, I just don't think that there's going to be we're not going to get very far. I will say this with my experiences, most of them pretty accommodating, and most of them speak pretty good English too.
Yeah, we made the mistake.
The reality is if you pulled Americans out.
What do you mean?
This is
first of all, you don't have an Air Force.
This is.
So you would be speaking a whole nother language if it wasn't for us.
Yeah.
So, and listen, we're not going to get into that, but we are going to say this. I did see a movie with Vince Vaughn.
Uh-huh.
And they were in the water and they were doing couples retreat.
Yeah.
And the guy did you see couples retreat?
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Oh yeah, we've seen couples retreat.
And the guy's in the boat and the shark was coming.
Yeah.
And he's like, I need you to get the French
I need you to get the French out of your mouth.
This is not a drill. Your actual American lives at stake right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look.
No, what I'm saying is this a tourist. I'm not saying just Americans, but it's tourism. So it's like, obviously people come from all over. It's not just Americans that are there raiding their country, eat their bread and
right. Like we're stimulating your economy a little bit.
Yeah.
Like take it easy, and also we're buying from your business. So at the end of the day, how we look at it over here is we should be accommodating to you if you're going to spend the money in our place of business. So I mean, like I said, I could see it from both sides. I mean, I didn't have any bad experiences with anyone over there. I only had one. I was in the streets of. Gosh, was it Spain? No, it was Paris.
I know what you're talking about.
It was Paris. I think we were walking on the right side of the sidewalk. Was it right? Or I can't remember, we happened to be on the left side of the sidewalk or something. And I think over there, because they walk so much more, they're more accustomed to like the rules of walking are very similar to the rules of riding on the road. And so you need to basically follow the same way, which we naturally do that over here too. I mean, if you go to the Haywood Mall, like one side typically walks this way, one side, I mean, you might get a couple of people occasionally, but anyways, me and a group of the boys were walking on, I would say, against the grain. But we're not really we don't really care that much. It's not that big of a deal. But yeah, I heard one woman say, like, must be Americans or something as you walk by. And I said, yeah, 100%. Or something like that along the lines of like, yeah, I'm American. Yeah. What's up? But no, it's fine. Yeah, overall, my experience was fine.
I thought you were going to talk about that one guy with that water. Do you remember that in Paris?
No.
When you bought a water and he tried, like...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't...
He tried with the money. Yeah, he tried to... They're selling water outside of... There was that huge roundabout. It was that where all the... what is that called?
It was over there by the Louvre. I forgot.
I want to say the huge roundabout. It's probably a very significant place, but it's like where a bunch of traffic merges in this one. You've seen it. You've seen it. I can't remember the name. Yeah, it's been shown in a couple of different movies and stuff before. It's a very famous spot. But anyways, they have street vendors selling waters and stuff, and like I mentioned before, it is extremely hot.
Right coming out of that, isn't there like the big arch that?
Yeah, well, it's right in the center of it.
It's something with an M.
There's an arch right in the center of it. I have no idea. I can't remember. Yeah. But yeah. So
was it quick question? Was it Perrier water?
Perrier? No, it wasn't Perrier. They have Perrier over there. They have like the
I don't know what that is.
It's the
It's from Perrier.
It's the carbonated. What is it? Why am I drawing a blank on what this is? Water. No, it's not just water. Gosh, there are people listening to this right now that know what this is, and I can't think of it. But anyways, yeah. But yeah, no, we tried to buy.
Hold on, Perrier isn't water.
It's not sparkling water. It's like sparkling. It's like It's like it's not like soda water. Is it soda water?
It's got pixie.
Is it soda water? I think it's soda water. I think
sparkling
it's
water. Leave it at that.
Sparkling water. Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why are we like stressing out about this?
Yeah. Wow. But no, I mean he asked if it was just water. No, I think it's sparkling water. The reason why I know that is the short stint of college football, offensive coordinator drank Perrier, and he's like, "Hey, y'all want a water?" I'm like, "Sure," and we grabbed the mini fridge and gave him one, and I drank one sip of that. I'm like, "What psychopath drinks this? Like, this is awful."
Yeah,
and it must be a lot of psychopaths because it's everywhere. So yeah.
All right, so what's our next slide? What do we got? All right, there's their oversized. Power tower.
Yeah, so this is from the ground. So I mean, you can't get a. you
sure?
Can't. Not a shot from a plane. I'm just kidding.
But you can't really tell how big it is. But
you can't. That doesn't do it justice. They only light it up every couple of hours.
That's what he said.
Yeah. Yeah. You can. They light it up every couple of hours. I think it's like don't they?
It's just whenever it gets dark.
No, it's not.
What are you talking about?
No,
You're talking about the shimmer?
Oh, yeah, that must be what it is. That's true. It does light up whenever it gets dark, but there's like a light show with it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, it's just like those yellow lights turn off, and it's just like white lights that just sparkle it.
And then they bedazzle it up every hour or so.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
If you're going to be trafficked in France, by the way, that's where you're going to get taken. It's at the base of the Eiffel Tower. It's no, I'm just kidding. It's not.
No, you've got a pretty good chance.
It seems like there's too many people there to get.
What? Well, what it was.
Like no.
Go ahead. I will say the number of people being there is actually a good thing for the people that get taken, because I think it's your mind is overstimulated with so much going on that you can very easily get lost. It's just But what the thing that we had heard was, if anyone tries to come up and get you to sign a paper with like any kind of information, like, do not do that. And it was
They'll like
a way
sign
of
you over like sex trafficking.
a way of like somehow backtracking and finding you later, and yeah. So that's kind of what we were told.
Yeah.
So
was crazy.
we just
Before
listened.
the trip, did y'all watch any like informational
Yeah.
stuff? Like the hostel? Did y'all have to watch the hostel?
No.
I watched that. Remember we were hanging out and we were talking about the trip, and you were like you need to watch it before you go, and I watched it.
I watched Taken again because I wanted to see if we would somehow be on Rue de Paris or whatever.
Oh
where
yeah, we
she
did.
goes,
We watched it in the bus.
Yeah. That's right, we did.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just for fun, just to see if we saw, and we did see, not like any specific spot for the movie, but I felt like, oh yeah, I feel like I've seen this before.
Well, there's a show, Emily in Paris. We saw
That's right.
that thing. I don't watch it, but
I don't watch that either.
Yeah.
But
Well,
people on the
it's
bus.
a pretty big show.
Oh yeah, mom chaperones on the bus were freaking out. Oh yeah, let's go take pictures of something we can see on Netflix. But yeah,
You know what y'all should have done? Like I'm a plan this if I go. I'm a plan and just like really Americanizing the hell out of stuff. Like when I'm riding on the bus, we're all gonna sing "Wheels on the Bus Go Round and Round."
Yeah.
Like, just like
really
just Americanize it.
Well, and we Americanized it the end of the trip for sure with what we ate because we were missing our American food quite a bit, and we decided to hammer out just go to Five Guys in Barcelona. Let's try Five Guys in Barcelona, see how it tastes. Let's try Five Guys in Madrid. Let's see how it tastes.
Was it called Cinco Guys?
No, it was still its original name. It tasted exactly the same as it does here, and it was fantastic. It was great. I would argue that it was maybe even better there than here. Which doesn't surprise me. Some of the foods that you get over there, if they have similar foods to what we do over here, just their beef and I just feel like what they do, like their bread, for example, is better. So you might get a better experience over there. Maybe a smaller portion. Five Guys was the same portions and everything. It was
Which
awesome.
Our portions are ridiculous at Five Guys.
Yeah.
Well,
Burger,
not just
it's potatoes, bro. God.
Fries. Well,
yeah.
but no. I would just look at it as they don't sell a fry for one person. They just sell fries. Like very rarely do they get one person come in there. Their fries are probably built
That's
more
why
for
you
like
get,
two
like,
people,
a
four
small-
people,
that's
six
wh-
people.
That's why you get a large. If you're sharing, you get a large.
Oh,
but a
large
small-
is half of a brown bag. There's no shot.
no,
You're
you
eating a
could
large.
feed-
Well,
I've
no,
never-
that's that's why I'm saying that's what you do to share. They shouldn't already be selling it to you as if you're sharing. A small should be one person. Medium, couple people. Large, lot
Or
of people.
let's just call it a one-person fry, a two-person fry, and a three-person fry. Let's make people feel bad if they want a large fry. Oh, you want a three-person fry? Just you? Yeah, that's what we'll do. No, it's fine though. Like, I will say, I had some friends one time that had never been to Five Guys when I was in Tennessee for college. We went to a Five Guys in Johnson City, and they had never been. So they get like a burger, they get a large fry, and they get a large drink. And first thing they realize is that their order was $23. The second thing they realize is half of the bag was fries. And they're like, why do I have so many fries? And me and Logan, people that have only ones that have been to Five Guys, are like, why did y'all get large fries? And they're like, we didn't know. I said, did you notice it cost $6? Like, how many fries did you think you were going to get with a large? I mean, $6 fry, man. But anyways, but yeah.
Yeah,
What's the next slide? What?
I was gonna say how we walked like what was it, like a mile and a half to go to Five Guys from our hotel.
Well, yeah, we also went to the mall though. That was
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. We were killing time, and I don't want people
They had
to make
really
it
cool-
seem like we were that addicted to it.
Well-
But we kind of were, but
Yeah, we kind of were.
but yeah, we did want to go to the mall.
Aha!
Mona
The
Lisa.
lady himself.
Now, wow. Yeah, so if there is something that is underwhelming from this trip, I would vote on this.
Yeah, most definitely.
The Louvre experience is overwhelming. there is so
Oh my
much art
God.
in this place. You can get lost in this place.
This is
Now, is that where
huge.
that's at?
Yeah.
That's where it's stored at?
Yeah.
Yeah, that picture right there, you'll have to kind of navigate through. It's not easy to find. And honestly, they probably do that on purpose to force people to not immediately go in there and just crowd it. And also, I think that thing is close to being, or it's far from the entrance to protect it in case of any kind of emergency. It's the only thing on this huge wall, and this wall obviously can go down in the ground at any point in time. Like it's very obvious. You can even see at the base of that wall the insert. It's not like flush like the baseboards are for like in this room or whatever. Like it's mobile. That's an underwhelming piece though for me.
You could only take one picture and like step away. Like you couldn't just sit there and stare at it.
Yeah, so you weave like kind of like down, like snake down the line, but you have to stay moving. There's guards all around it. You can like take your picture and then you could immediately get right back in line. I will say there's a ton of people in there. It moves pretty quickly. I mean, we were only in line for like 5 minutes.
There's nothing to look at. I mean, it's a picture of...
Well, and you can't stay there. You have to go.
And you can't get close enough to really see the details.
Yeah, you're pretty far.
And the size of it is probably like, no lie, it's probably like a 9x14. Like it's not,
so
it's slightly bigger than a sheet of paper. I mean, oh yeah, it's not.
Tiny.
And it took him, I forget how many years, it took him a while. There would be days that he would only paint, I think I remember this from middle school, Miss Cartwright saying this. There'd be days that he would only paint like 2 strands of hair. That was it.
And he was French?
He was Italian.
Da Vinci was Italian,
Okay,
right?
he's Italian. Okay.
No, Da Vinci just sounds Italian.
I'm just trying to find how...
Leonardo
French
da
people
Vinci,
paint
yeah,
their
that
hair.
sounds
That's definitely
Italian.
Italian.
Yeah, it's Italian Renaissance. And it was a important piece from an important artist at the perfect time. And I think all that kind of like comes
Just
together
made it
and
bigger.
creates this thing that's bigger.
So was she supposed to be somebody important?
That's what I was saying.
Not that I know of.
She's just a woman.
I don't think it's anyone
That's
important.
not bad. Yeah.
No, you would think, but I don't. I mean, I think what made her important is that she's in this.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to think like what...
But like, is it a real person?
It's got to be...
Oh yeah, it's a real person. I'll be honest with you. Going through some of these churches, seeing the ceilings, seeing the painting, like the paintings and the art that we saw, the sculptures that we saw, the architecture all throughout, just anywhere, Versailles, you name it, small town, church, chart, that. I mean, unbelievable stuff. Like, just breathtaking. Like, you're like overwhelmed. Like, I can't finish this art project that I've been doing for 3 years. And meanwhile, you've got someone that literally hung upside down and painted this church. I mean, I guess that was from the fear of getting your hands cut off if you didn't back in those times. Maybe that's what it is that's all they did. But I mean, just very impressive stuff. And then to see this thing that is, you cannot put a price tag on that. If like, I mean, there's no telling how much you could actually pay, like someone would pay for that. It's crazy to me. It just is. I would say that's the most underwhelming.
Where
part
was
of the
it
trip.
that we went to this?
Imagine if it was a good-looking woman, though. What if he'd have
I mean, Margot Robbie painted by Leonardo da Vinci.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah,
multiply it by 10. No, just kidding.
Go ahead, Larkin.
We went to this one place. I'm trying to remember like where we were, but I think it was a church, and it had been. I think this is Madrid. It had been like something had came through the ceiling of it. Like, remember, it was like a long time ago in like a war or something.
Yeah.
And they still had, like, what was it? Like was it a bomb?
It was like a mortar shell or something, or yeah.
It was huge.
Yeah, that had
Came through that church.
they had come under attack or whatever, and they still had, I guess, something in the wall that was lodged or something. It was pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. What else we got?
Yeah. So, this is in Versailles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this has got to be one of the rooms in Versailles.
Yeah,
I would
this is
think.
Versailles. This is like, I mean, it was literally every room that had something like this.
Every room had something like
It
this.
was crazy.
Just this level of art, and you can't tell in this picture
The ceilings are really tall.
the amount of detail in this. For the people that are listening that have been to, for example, the Biltmore House. There's listen, it's nothing against the Biltmore. I think the Biltmore House is amazing, but like this Palace of Versailles, I've never seen anything like this.
So what's the history of it? Was a king
King
people
Versailles?
lived there? Like
No, it's King. I forget what king it was. Was it Napoleon? I don't know. I can't remember.
No clue.
No clue. Cannot remember. But there's a lot of kings that have obviously been there. I would say though that like, for example, 1,000 fireplaces in this thing, like literally 1,000 fireplaces, like stuff that you could not even wrap your head around as far as how many rooms. I mean, we toured a fraction of it, and you're just overwhelmed. The same way that the Biltmore House has like themed rooms of like, oh, this is like the velvet or whatever it is. I don't know what it is. I can't remember, but they had that, but like on another level, like the tapestry in there, like 13th century, been hanging there since the 13th century. And you're just looking at it like, this is insane. Like it's wild. The hedges there, and we have another picture there, but like just the amount of work it would take just to upkeep just how many acres this thing, it's insane. And you thinking all the resources that were put into this, somebody's paying for this on the back end. Like who is not living well from this? Like there's got to be somebody out there, because I mean there were a lot of resources thrown into this thing, like just a lot of manpower.
What was your favorite thing in that place?
Probably the garden for me.
Yeah.
I think I had a bit of a bad experience when I was in the place. It was so hot out that day, and I don't think I had eaten that much, and I just started getting really lightheaded while I was in there in the rooms, and kind of a little bit claustrophobic just because I was like hot and lightheaded, and then like anxiety.
There's a ton of people,
there's a lot of people in there. So I kind of did bad. I didn't really pay attention to like a lot of it because I was just kind of trying to get out. But
Well,
that sounds so messed up. But
no, I'm with you. It's the same way in the Louvre. Same way in the Louvre. You are like, your sensory overload. For you especially. I mean, we had like a handful of times on the trip. Like, man, what would Dad do in this situation? Like, what would you do in this situation? You're deep in the Louvre. You don't know where you're at. You don't know how to get out. You are around thousands of people.
yeah,
It would have been another submarine situation and we brought that exact story up in the trip. Like, you may have gotten to that point where you freaked out and you wouldn't have known how to get out. Like, same way in that palace. Same way in that palace, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like it. Now, don't get me wrong. They don't give you a free run of it. You only see a fraction of what's in there, but still, it's massive. It's huge. It's huge.
yeah.
I wonder what makes people feel like they have to go to that extreme.
I think it's to show off, like it's to show off their power, and it's got to be that.
It's just,
Whereas like in modern times now, it's, we know now that like, I think we've learned from the history of that's not necessarily kind of the way to control people now. I know that sounds bad, but like the people in power are just, I think they look at it differently.
When all that was being built, I know I hate to keep coming back to this, but like you're kind of a sitting duck there when you just have a bunch of like crazy money things that are worth so much money, but then you don't have a military to protect yourself, and you got a bunch of nuts around you that are like
I mean, I think they had enough, like, well, I would say regardless of the time that you look at like leaders in power, like we see now, like the people that, like, for example, the president, how the White House is defended. There's a lot more technology and stuff to defend the White House from the normal civilians around. They didn't have as good a technology back then, but they had more than the people around. So you can never like take over this place just with you and a few people are going to band together. And like, they always had enough to kind of keep people at arm's length. And that palace, like, I'll say this, here's the funny thing. The White House, like, man, like, that's like a pretty small, now don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's parts that are underground, there's tunnels that probably go all over. Like, I mean, the president can get out of there without walking out the front door. Mm-hmm. But that palace, like, if you imagine like Napoleon being in there, it would take you a while. Even if I gave you the keys to the front door, said, all right, go find Napoleon. Man, you're going to spend about 40 minutes going through that place, like clearing out that building. All right, Napoleon, I'm coming to get you. I mean, it's going to take you a while. It's huge.
He was kind of small. I think he could have hid.
Oh, man. He's like 5'6". He's hiding in the cupboards. He's like in a secondary kitchen somewhere. Just
he'd have been up there on top of the
chilling.
ceiling fan. Just
he's trapeze artist swinging from the chandelier or something. I don't know.
But you know what's crazy is, as nice as that is, it sounds like when you get over to like Saudi Arabia and some of those places, that it's like it's even 10x that. Like,
oh yeah, with all the oil money and stuff now, like Dubai, like some of the stuff now, like what we would see. Like, I think it is cool though that how nice something is back in the 14th century is still like, yeah, it's still considered to be like great. And awesome and nice and all that stuff. Like, I mean, it's still viewed, especially with that architecture. You just don't see architecture like that, man. That's the biggest difference over there than over here. Our churches are very squared off, very modern. You can just tell that they built these things in a time where they really valued detail. Right. Detail. And that's why that stuff just... You remember the Trinity Church when we went up to Boston and we saw that church and we're thinking, that's every church up there, man. Like, every church is like that.
Well, I'm going to tell you something that I'm going to go ahead and say. This might be controversial. Not that I like saying controversial things, Larkin. You know that I'm not. That's not really my thing. But I think I've got a theory of why they gave us the Statue of Liberty. Because they knew that thing was going to turn green. And they like nice things. They didn't want anything that was good. Like, we want to keep up with this.
Yeah,
we didn't build this in good enough quality. We're going to give it to them. They'll like it.
Yeah, we saw the version of it that they have. I forget what garden that is in, but we saw it's much smaller, obviously, but it's like just a smaller replica of it. You know what's funny is I've never had any interest in going to see the Statue of Liberty as a kid or just now. Like,
I forget about
I couldn't care less if I ever.
What's in New York, dude? There's nothing in New York that I want to see.
Besides pizza, man. I want to go see and eat pizza. Besides that, I couldn't care less about New York.
Have you ever been to New York City?
I've been to New York State. No, I've never been to New York City. You've never been to New York City.
Really?
Yeah. I've seen Niagara in the winter and in the summertime. Look and feel very different.
You're talking about claustrophobia. Let's talk about the caves of the winds and going down that damn elevator.
I forgot about the elevator ride down there.
That is a miracle.
What are you talking about?
That I made it through that.
Because the cave of the winds or whatever is at the base of Niagara Falls, and you basically have to go down this
old rickety
elevator.
But it's going through the actual rock. The
yeah.
actual side of the damn mountain.
Yeah, you cut down through it, and then you go down, and it's like
water's leaking in it.
And they rebuild the deck every year. They rebuild that deck down there, which is crazy. The engineering that goes behind that, because you'll have like a deck by a pool, like a deck.
An elevator goes onto the deck.
An elevator goes down
there, and then you can get out and walk around on the deck that's down there at the bottom.
You're about to see the Sidling. Yeah, we've made it an hour and a half.
So Larkin, the water fountain is up here. I mean, the waterfall. It falls down and it lands down here, and then over to the side they built a big deck that you can be down at the bottom of the falls to see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They built all this crazy multi-layers and levels and stuff on this deck, which to me is crazy because you can't cut it off. Like, you can't, hey, y'all shut that off right quick. We're going to go ahead and build this deck right quick, man. Like, you were doing this the whole time. But to get down there, they've literally, it's not on the outside. They've actually drilled into the rock. and they built an elevator that goes down inside.
Like an elevator shaft that goes down in there. It's pretty cool, but it's not cool when you're standing on the deck and you can feel it moving. You can see boards shaking. I mean, it stayed up, and they rebuild it every year for a reason because the wear and tear from the water. It's not like the falls are landing directly on it, but just the water, the mist itself breaks that deck down enough to where you have to rebuild it every year.
Well, if during the wintertime, it
that's
solid.
true. Yeah, winter is hard on it,
and it's made out of wood, so go figure.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. What's our next slide?
We can skip by that. Yeah, that's her in front of the Eiffel Tower. It is a great picture, though. But I will say she is very close to being in the street getting hit by a car right there.
Were you on the bottom or were you up on the top?
Yeah, is that an aerial view? That's the view from the ground.
Yeah, I was in the plane.
We were very close to. I will say this: I am sitting on a bridge that if you fall back, you're going to fall about 60 feet
and die.
I'm not like those people that are trying to get such a good photo that I'm hanging off of like a cell phone tower at the top. Oh, I got a picture. But I was walking the edge there trying to get that photo, but it was good.
I just remembered we went through the tunnel that Diana.
Oh yeah, the crash for the paparazzi. We did.
Went through that.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yep. Saw Big Ben and all that in London too, by the way. But yeah.
Yeah.
That's first time.
Yeah, this is just like the front.
Yeah, that's the garden. That's part of. That is literally just one little part of the garden. Tiny, not that big of a deal. I mean, the place is insane.
It's crazy.
The upkeep. I mean, we did the math. I forget how many acres they said it was. But, even with like a 50-man crew, you are having to, the hedges there, it's insane. It's insane. I don't know how they do it. It doesn't even seem mathematically possible unless you're going to pay like 100, 150, 200 people to do it. Some of the hedges there, by the way, 20 feet tall. Like 20 feet up in the air. Like you're going to need like one of those ladders through one of those old libraries that like rolls around the edges of it and climb all the way to the top, and like it's insane. Yeah. It's insane. You can get lost in there too. It's like a big maze. Yeah.
That reminds me, some of those pictures of that place especially reminds me in the Game of Thrones, the Dorne, when they were in Dorne.
Oh yeah, where the old boy's from that tries to kill the mountain and ends up dying. Goodness. Yeah, they ship off Marcella to get married to the prince there. Yeah, it's very similar. That's actually a good point. Like what some stuff that you see in Game of Thrones is like the architecture and stuff. It kind of reminded me of that for sure.
All right, what else we got? Oh, look at here.
This is in our favorite place. This is in Biarritz. This is a very cool little spot to take a picture. If you just go through that hole like behind us and go to the right, that's where the beach area was and everything. You could kind of walk along the coast and get a picture there. It was a really nice spot. Yeah, that was a good day.
How hot was it that day?
75.
It was nice.
Oh, that was a good day.
Yeah, it was 75. It was nice. Perfect.
And we had just because we got sick. That was the day like we were fine, but the day before that, whenever we were in Bordeaux.
No.
What?
No, we weren't sick in Bordeaux though. We were sick right after that
we were sick in Bordeaux.
Really?
Because I remember. It was super hot, and we were going around this tour, and I had a fever.
Yeah.
Like, in the heat, like it was so bad, and there's not like you can't just go and like sit on like the bus or something. Like it's like a guided tour that I like had to go on. Yeah. And then I ended up going to the adults were gonna go to like a wine tasting, and I ended up going to that. Yeah. And I slept.
Yeah, you did. I forget the other kid's name that was in there with it, but I wasn't sick then. We got actually sick in San Sebastian the day they were supposed to surf. We didn't go surfing.
Yeah, that was the first day that I like felt it though.
Yeah.
I remember you saying that you didn't go surfing. They went to the beach.
Y'all
were sick.
Topless beach. Yeah, I missed that. Yeah, but it was I mean, I think our body just was not accustomed to, I mean, just
Well,
walking
we
20,000
did.
steps a day and being in that heat. Honestly, I think I just broke down a little bit.
We did a test, a COVID and strep test. I did. Our tour guide took me and like 3 other people to like a little urgent care, and it was like tiny. Like it was just like one guy, and he looked like he was like 18 years old. But I didn't have it. I didn't have
Yeah,
either, and he said it was
no.
just a viral thing.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was Biarritz was great. That was, I think, a combination of the weather helped and just kind of the feel of the town. It wasn't big city. It felt smaller. It felt more personalized, and you didn't feel overwhelmed by the number of tourists there either. I mean, there were tourists there, but it was mainly people from the place. And
Yeah.
I'll never forget though, just seeing a couple kids running on the beach, completely naked.
Little
Completely
children.
naked and no big deal.
Yep.
We didn't go to surf with in San Sebastian, but we knew that our group, the majority of our group, obviously went. And I asked a couple of our teachers that were that had went, how'd the boys do kind of on the beach with all the women that are not clothed, and they said they behaved really well, and I think it's one of those things that if everyone is acting a certain way, you kind of fall in order just because you realize, okay, this is normal for people. I'm just going to kind of like, okay, all right, this is fine. Whereas if someone over here that is topless on the beach that is not typically topless, and people are going to freak out. And so it's just kind of like just the culture and just what it is. And our kids overall did a pretty good job with adjusting. It was nice not to embarrass themselves.
Well, real talk. There's nothing normal about running naked anywhere.
Oh,
Mm-mm.
yeah.
Mm-mm. No.
Running? Yeah.
Running naked, bro?
Running?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That reminds me of a Seinfeld where Jerry's dating a woman that walks around his apartment naked, and she is coughing naked, and he's like, there's certain things that look good naked and there's certain things that absolutely don't. He said coughing and dry heaving is like, it's not a good look for a woman. Like, it's like you're seeing muscles that you'd haven't seen before. It is hilarious. But yeah, so I get
running, bro. Like my body's playing volleyball with itself. That's not good.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
It's
Yeah.
not good times, bro.
Yeah.
So no.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, but no, overall it was Biarritz definitely was my favorite place. Bordeaux is like wine capital of the world, definitely of France. I actually got you and Mom, I think, a bottle from there, and it was cool, but it was not. It was just so hot that day. It was one of the hottest days there. I felt like
Painful.
it was painful. Yeah, it was really tough.
Styles we got.
Yeah, it's Biarritz, and see, that's what it is. It's kind of like a little small beach feel, and then you've got like the hills and the city and the hills just right there. It was just very unique, very unique.
It kind of looks a little bit, not exactly, but it just kind of reminds you of a little bit of like Brazil down. How they have that big cove.
Yeah, and to be fair, I've never been to Brazil, so honestly, if I traveled more, I could probably relate it to more places. I will say this: East Coast beach front is very flat.
Mm-hmm.
West Coast beach front more hilly. You got like Pebble Beach. You got those huge cliffs.
Mm-hmm.
More. I don't know. It's probably explained by science somewhere how the land used to be years and years and years ago and how it got separated. But yeah, so maybe there are some West Coast cities probably have more of a feel like that, I would imagine.
Right. That just reminds me of like pictures of Rio that you see.
Yeah.
When they show the big Jesus statue.
Yeah.
Up and they look
Yeah.
down, because that's in like half the movies.
Yeah. What a cool shot that is. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
All right, what else we got?
This was I forget what this was called. It was like a little stop between where was this? What was this between? Maybe like Tours and Chart. There was, or I can't remember. Like no, I don't know.
This is after Biarritz.
No, because that's Spain. Spain's after Biarritz, so I don't think it was after Biarritz.
Now, Larkin did say that was extremely steep.
Oh,
can you back that again? That's
yeah.
So it was extremely steep.
That picture doesn't even do it justice.
No, it doesn't.
Because we took a picture from like the
bottom
of it, looking up.
Man, it's wild.
I mean, it's the largest like
sand dune
in the world. I think
it's gotta be. It's crazy.
The natural. Like,
we walked up it, and thank goodness there are steps. But it is a workout. It's a lot of flights. I don't know what it is as far as number of flights, but it's a lot.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot.
We saw some kids run down it.
We went down it. We didn't take the steps down.
No, we didn't take the steps down. We ran down, and you can kind of run at an angle, and it's not going to be too bad. And honestly, even if you like stumbled and fell, you're not gonna. The sand is so thick. It's not like rolling down a mountainside. You're just gonna bury yourself after.
It's
a couple
not the same
tumbles.
as like white sand, like not like powdery. It's like
it's very coarse. It's very thick.
Yeah.
Almost like a good quality river sand kind of.
We were debating.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
We were debating on if they are just putting sand on it.
I can't imagine. There's no way. Yeah.
To keep up like the reputation of having the largest sand dunes. What?
The reputation.
They're mining sand from everywhere else. Yeah.
Y'all can have your
Egypt,
like sand that rolls
Egypt,
off,
you want your
right
pyramids? All right, we'll come see something over here. Yeah. Look it up. Check out the biggest pile of sand in the world. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay.
This is Chart. This is just a small little just alleyway in this small city. The places that are the smallest, like Chart and Tours and Biarritz, even Bordeaux is a little big for me. Those places were my favorite. They just were. They just felt like you could relax a little.
Yeah.
It would be like, and I told people this on the trip. I said, okay, if I've got family in the UK coming over and they say, hey, I want to go anywhere in the world to visit. Well, obviously, I'm not going to say Greenville, South Carolina. I mean, if you want to go see some stuff that is like, you feel like you're checking some boxes, you go to Niagara Falls, you go to the Grand Canyon, you go maybe see the Hollywood sign in the hills or whatever, and you go up to Half Dome and all that stuff that we saw near San Fran or the Redwood. I don't know. There's a ton of places but the places I felt like I connected with the most on the trip were the places that I felt like I was most comfortable in. And the places that you're most comfortable in would be the places that you would want to live. That's like the most, like that to me feels like the best to kind of like have a good time. Still have the same experiences with people that speak a different language, still have the same food, whatever. But it's like, I told people like, yeah, you can go visit New York City, you can go see Times Square. I don't want to live there. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't live there myself. Mm-hmm. Same thing with this. I can go visit Paris, I can go visit London. Never would live there. Never. It's horrible. It's horrible. It's just as bad as our big cities. You still have the same problems. You still have traffic. You still have the fact that it's dirty. You still have the fact that there's so many people there. And places like this were just nice because the pace slowed down. And yeah, I'm saying that as a kid from Greenville, South Carolina, that it's obviously more spread out. But like I said, I relate to that more. Mm-hmm. Maybe if people that grew up in the city would love Paris. I don't know. People think it's like this, man, wouldn't it be a dream to go live in Paris for a year? No, not for me. Don't ever ask me to do that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Right. We got a few more slides, or is that it?
Yeah, this was in the church in Charts. Yeah. And it's kind of hard to see, but that is just like little miniature sculptures, like it's amazing. I just couldn't believe a little small church in a little small town had something that if it were over here, I mean, it would just be like, oh my, like, wow. And it's just everywhere. It's just everywhere. It's to them. I don't think they think much of it. I don't think they necessarily think it's that special, but that's what they know. But the architecture of it there, it's just what they put emphasis on. They emphasize every detail. It's just, it's pretty cool. It's an artist's dream to go over there, I think, and just if you're in that kind of side of that line of work.
Now, the people that, and you might not have asked these questions, but so like we knew that Da Vinci was Italian, but the Mona Lisa is in France, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Italy is another big, as I guess is well known for their art.
Yeah.
But which one? So like you have artists that are dealing with the art, but then you have the architecture. Like who are the people behind the architecture in France? Were it French people or was it?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I mean, I don't know if I have an answer to that.
Wait, what are you talking about? Who made the buildings?
Yeah, like it seems like the most. So even like in the ceilings in the what do you call it?
In the Palace of Versailles.
In the Palace of Versailles, were those Italian artists like Da Vinci,
No.
or those were French?
I would guess French.
Yeah, I would guess local, because I think back then the movement of the art, I think everyone was doing art the same way. Like now I feel like we have a broader perspective of like what are acceptable forms of art. It's anything now. I don't think there's any one way to do something. I think you have people that do hyper realistic paintings. I think there are people that do Jackson Pollock style paintings where they're just throwing paint on a canvas and they're appreciated in a different way, but they're both appreciated. Back then, I feel like the whole babies with wings floating in the sky, kind of like the whole people are half clothed, like almost look like Greek goddesses, but kind of don't. Like, I think that was kind of how all art was. I don't know if it's almost like evolution with people versus evolution with art. I mean, I feel like it was just like, I don't think people thought about making artwork back then look exactly like it does in real life. I'm sure that you have people that could paint something that looked really realistic, but I don't even know if they consider that to be art back then. But like, I think that's what it was. So I think most of the artists probably throughout the world did stuff very similarly. So I would imagine they were from.
That makes me think of this. Do you think that's why the Mona Lisa was such a big deal? Because it was a realistic, and they weren't really doing that in that era?
Yeah, so it was a part of the Renaissance at the time, and it was from a very well-known painter at the time, and I just think it was groundbreaking in the sense of it was just I think at that time there was a change in what was art, like the style of it. And I think there was a lot of different styles and stuff. And so maybe that's what it was. I don't know. I'm sure. I mean,
well,
so sad I took an art history class.
There's a shift of that in the tattoo world. Like there was very little realism tattoos. Like it was mostly like
right.
little sticker stuff that you got
on
sailors and stuff like that. And now it's like actual art.
Yeah,
like realistic.
It's if you can sketch Kobe Bryant on my form and make it look exactly like Kobe Bryant, that is like the most impressive thing. Whereas like back then, I don't think
it was a caricature.
It was more of a caricature of, or it was exactly. I think that's it. It's amazing to me. I mean, I'll say this: there was a palace in Madrid too that had similar artwork on the ceilings. So, and there was, I mean, most everywhere that we went had a lot of crazy artwork and architecture and sculpture. So at the end of the day, what that tells me is there had to be a lot of people that could do this stuff. I mean, now, if you had someone that was like building that type of stuff now, I feel like you would be one of a handful of people in the United States that was making buildings like that now. Like, oh man, that person's known for making this Gothic style, like archways and all this.
But
like,
the crazy thing is, like, anything that we could do before, we could do now.
Oh yeah,
because we know how to do it. That's the whole thing. Is evolution is you come up with new ways,
but you still don't lose sight of like.
But you don't lose sight of that.
Yeah.
But to say, I mean, I wonder why we don't go back. I mean, obviously there's better designs, there's cheaper material, there's more, time sensitive to building buildings and getting it up and operable where you can make the money off of it. But
that's what it is.
People just don't take the time. There's people that could do it. There's people that can do even better because they learn not only that technique, but they improve that technique. You know what I mean? Like everything.
It would be the same way. It would be the same reason why someone doesn't paint a woman today like they do in that painting of the Mona Lisa. You do a painting like that now, it doesn't carry the same weight that painting did at that time. If you build a building,
better looking women now.
But if you build a building like those buildings were made at that time, I think the reason why those have so much appeal is that they come from a time period that is so much older. I think now it's looked at as what's the most efficient. We care about money. We care about limiting cost, and that kind. I think that's how we look at things now, unfortunately, because I don't feel like we're building a place. I feel like we could have a place that is far more beautiful and just appealing to the eye, but it would cost a lot more.
Whenever I was in my art class, we would always look at different pieces of art like every day, and like where they're at, background information about it. There is one really famous thing of art, and it is just a toilet. Swear to God, it's just a toilet.
Is it from France? Eau de toilette?
No, it's here. It's here in America, and just a toilet. That's it. There's nothing else to it.
What famous person has a gold toilet? Oh, it's Kid Rock. Kid Rock's got a gold toilet in his house.
And the argument was,
he does.
The argument.
He was just on Theo Vaughn.
He was on Joe Rogan not too long ago.
He's doing a tour because he's got a tour coming up. He's coming to Anderson, South Carolina.
What?
He's only got 6 cities he's going to.
And Anderson
is the last one.
What?
July 26 and 27.
Are you going?
Back-to-back days.
You've got to go.
Probably.
You've got to go.
But he's going to have it like in a big old field. Like he just wants it like knock off towns, not in the main.
That's great.
He just wants to get out of his people.
That's great. Yeah, gold toilet.
So the argument is if that's like art. Like what draws the line?
I think it's in the eye of the beholder, like the old saying, right? Art is in the eye of the beholder. Like what you can consider to be art, some might consider it to not be art. Like I think that when you look at Drew Blair's paintings of hyper realistic, like that painting I've showed you before, that guy, I mean, he paints Walter White's face from Breaking Bad, and my goodness, it looks like a picture. Mm-hmm. I think that is amazing. But I think you're gonna find some people that are like, man, you're making something look exactly like a photo. I don't see talent in that. Like I see like you copying something down to a T. And I see like a little bit of skill, but I don't see creativity. I don't see how that's art.
Right.
Whereas art is more of,
I think
it's a creative side. It's a new look. It's a new way of doing something.
I would say like something like that. If you're drawing like realistically, like you're not really expressing anything. If it's just like the same thing, it's not, because I feel like art is like expression of like emotion or whatever.
Exactly right, yeah.
But
yeah,
I would still call that art because I think you definitely have to have skill to do that, and you definitely like an artist who would do that. But
there's the same separation in the tattoo world. Of course, I'm talking about tattoos because I'm covering tattoos, but I just pay a lot of attention to it, and it's like, there's a talent, if I go in and I give you a picture or something I found on the internet and I say, hey man, I want this, you know what I mean? I want this exact thing. Mm-hmm. And then they can just duplicate
it. Oh
that.
yeah.
There's people that are really good at that.
That's extreme talent.
That does not make you, it's a talent, but it's not like, here, let me get this marker and draw some stuff on you.
Yeah.
And then draw it. Like I couldn't believe when I really started getting to know my birth mother. I didn't grow up with her or whatever, but I knew she had worked at she owned a couple of art studios, and she taught art at some community colleges and stuff like that. She had painted murals inside of churches and on the side of buildings and done all this amazing stuff. And when I sat down, I really wanted to see how she. What's crazy, I didn't grow up with her, and then I had a lot of artistic talent that I had some opportunity to do some stuff, and just didn't really, it wasn't cool to do art, and my parents didn't really, support it as much, so nobody really like festered that in me, but
Right.
Or fostered that in me, but festered is bad.
Festered. Let it
Yeah.
fester. No one let that fester.
Yeah.
That art ability.
One from fester to foster is like
Welcome
good
to
or
the
bad. Like,
English language when everyone hates it.
yeah,
Yeah.
but nobody let my art fester.
My abilities fester.
So so I fostered my talents in other areas. The point is,
Derailed.
when I really sat there with her, when I was getting to know her, and I would watch her do art, and like, okay, well, how would you draw this rose? Because like in my mind, I had a system of how I would draw the rose, and she literally sat there, and it's a full rose, man, with the petals and everything and stuff, and it's like two roses clumped together with all the, and she literally just went around the outside.
Yeah.
And like I just showed it to her. I said something like that, and it wasn't the exact same thing. I just something like a couple of roses, a cluster together. I said, okay, cool. So she starts doing this whole thing. I was like, to see how that all fits into each other, and that just blew my mind. Like it was another level of seeing art in a different way, and so it's the layers of how somebody can just take something like you said, an expression that's just your own thing, like just taking this photo and redoing that and xeroxing that onto skin or xeroxing it onto another piece of paper just because you did it. Yes, that's impressive. I'm not taking away from it, but it's not really art. It's just duplicating.
Right.
Yeah.
Because at some point in time, we're going to get a machine that can paint something perfectly. And like, are we going to really sit here and make the claim that IBM has created the most gifted artists ever? Like, I mean, like I still believe that it's about pure creation at the end of the day. I mean, I think there are different categories. You can appreciate both, but for different reasons. Emmitt Smith is a great running back. Barry Sanders was an artist on the field. There's something about it, when you look at it, like this is just different. It's different how they see the field, how they play. And same thing with an artist. Like Jackson Pollock is literally taking paint and throwing it on a canvas. But I will say, when you stand back and you look at that thing, there is something about it that it has a balance. You could tell there was something. Yeah.
You got to let it fester.
Gotta let it fester. Gotta let it fester.
Let it fester.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that all the slides? What else we got?
Yeah, that's the they were doing work to it, Sangrada de Familia or something in Barcelona. That thing
You can't even
is huge.
Like there's nothing to even scale it to.
That thing is huge.
I don't.
You walk up on that thing.
It looks like Disney World,
But you cannot. That picture does not do it justice. The architecture in that, and I hate to say that word, go back to that. Like the detail in it, it's insane. It's insane.
Did y'all get to go in that? What is that?
No, we didn't.
Is that a church?
Yeah.
I don't think you can go in it.
Yeah, I don't. No, you could go in it. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying like freely. Like I think you.
I hope you can go into a church freely. Yeah. I don't know. That I would hope. If there's a place on the planet that you should be able to go freely, it would be a church.
Quick story. My dad actually got in trouble for stealing stuff out of a church when he was in middle school.
No way.
What do you steal?
I've never heard this story.
Dude, I don't even know. And
I've never heard this.
He stole the books just to steal them.
What?
The Bible?
The hymns?
The hymns.
He wasn't singing?
No, he wasn't singing.
He wasn't reading.
He wasn't reading.
I know that. I know that for a fact.
He wasn't doing none of that.
If there wasn't women's pictures in a magazine, he definitely wasn't turning pages. I'm going to tell you.
Nah, he was a Younce, man.
That is insane. What? Stole from a church? Man, there is a story. I have a story from being in church and really avoiding wanting to go to church when I was a kid, but never did I steal anything. Me and Ken, we were staying the night at Clay and Laura's, and they go to church on Sunday morning, and we play video games the night before with Dustin and everything. And by the way, Dustin, if Dustin listens to this, he is now a pastor. Where's he at? He's went all over. Is he in Michigan now or something?
Yeah, he's in Michigan.
But back then he was not a pastor. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you.
There's nothing.
Yeah. So, anyways, now I will say this about Dustin Crazy, but he did go to church, and they were all heavy church
But
goers.
here's the thing: he was a good kid.
Oh, he was a good kid.
He was just wide.
He was
open.
wide open,
Yeah.
and the things that he did wrong were things that kids did.
Yeah,
It
he
was
didn't steal nothing.
nothing.
He didn't beat up nobody.
No. He was not that kind of person. But he was wild.
He'd cherry bomb blow up your mailbox.
He would, he was gonna do some stuff like that. But anyways, me and Ken go in this church, and boy, if we really didn't mind the big services, like the big like Sunday, everyone's in the same room. We don't feel like we can be singled out as like imposters of churchgoers. Like, we went to church though. I mean, we went to First Wesleyan. I mean, we went to church, but we still didn't necessarily feel comfortable with our knowledge of, I mean, I didn't even know the difference of Old Testament and New Testament back then. So we were really embarrassed to go to the Sunday school classes. So we really avoided those at all costs. Man, this one time we must have camped out in the bathroom for about an hour and a half. And we had to come up with different reasons for why. And so we would rotate. Like, I would be at the urinal, just literally standing at the urinal for 15 minutes straight. I mean, if you're a believer and you listen to this, you think like you have somehow found a way to get on God's bad side while standing in a church on Sunday. Like, dude, like this is wrong.
Bro, it was in your blood, my dad.
This is wrong. Like, how could you do this? Oh, we found a way. But we would rotate. We were really smart about it because we started to realize the same people were coming into the bathroom. So like, we've been in there so long, we're catching people the second time coming in. So man, we were rotating different stalls. I'd be washing my hands for 20 minutes, dude. I'd be prunes on my hand. I mean, but it was like pulling teeth to get us to enjoy it. I mean, it was just so funny. What a memory. One of my, like, not earliest memories of me and Ken, but like one that stands out the most. Ken would remember that story if he heard it. You know, he'd definitely remember that. Funny. All
right, what else we got? That's it?
That's it.
That was the end of this road. So, recapping the Europe trip, it sounds like the biggest problem was the time of year. If you had taken that same trip, same schedule, and done it in September or March, whole different experience.
Yeah. Whole different experience. For us, it's not a possibility because we go with a bunch of students and teachers, and school gets in the way. So we have to go in June or July. Yeah. This is not a school paid for thing. What it is educational. EF Tours basically reaches out and tries to get a teacher to basically run this thing as like the director of this tour. And they kind of navigate through the schools to find people that are eligible to go, pay whatever it is to go. And, but the school doesn't sponsor. It's too much liability. There's a lot that goes into that. So schools don't put their names on it, at all. So they don't even like say, hey, some of our kids went to Europe this year. They don't even do that. So it is definitely our own thing. And with it being our own thing, we can't get it approved for time off, anything like that. I mean, teachers don't get a lot of time off. As far as like approved besides summertime, we get all holidays, everything. So like, you're not going to miss 2 weeks of work. Right. It's not, our vacations don't work that way.
I understand that from the professional standpoint. I'm talking about personally as human beings. The actual experience of being there. To trade it out. So let's do it either or. Would it be better to go and not be as strenuous on the time restraints, or go at a whole different time of year where it's not so hot?
Time.
Wait.
I'll let you answer. I've talked a lot.
What time?
No. Like,
go
would it be
spring or fall? Like, not going.
No, but I'm saying, like, what are you saying is the issue? The time, like the scheduling?
Well, yeah, it's so packed in that your hand is forced, kind of with the limitations that we had. What was more of an issue, the time or the temperature?
Yeah, I was gonna say the time because I think I could have handled the heat if I had just gotten a break, every once in a while, and we weren't just constantly. Like, I mean, it was literally like we would leave the hotel at like 7 a.m., not get back till like 9. Like, we were out all day.
Yeah.
And there's no break. Like, you can't just sit at a cafe and just have something to eat. And
Right.
like, no. Like, you gotta keep on going. And I think it just like pushed. I could have handled it if I
Yeah.
had a little bit of a break.
Yeah. For example, there was a teacher there that really wanted to kind of visit Westminster Abbey a little bit more in London. And that's kind of where I think,
The Beatles.
yeah, John Lennon is buried, I think is buried. Yeah. And a lot of famous people. It's not just, but didn't really have an opportunity. We were only in London 2 days. 2 days. We were only, and you say only 2 days. Yeah, 2 days. But I will say this, out of those 2 days, I only got to eat a meal of my choice once, maybe twice so we didn't even, this is such an embarrassing thing to say, but we did not experience fish and chips in London. I didn't eat fish and chips, but like that was early on in the trip. And I don't think I really realized that like, if you don't get your fish and chips on this meal, like you're not going to get another chance. Because a lot of them are booked for you. And with it being such a large group, you can't say, well, I'm going to hang back here. I'll get a ride back. We were all riding in the bus and you're pretty much all doing the same thing. So yeah, I would say the time was the biggest restraint for sure.
So what's the biggest thing that you, outside of getting to eat fish and chips, what's the biggest things you feel like you missed out on that you didn't get to experience?
I'll let you go first.
Probably just like the food and like shopping. Like, I didn't, obviously you want to bring stuff back if you go to Europe, and I didn't get that much time to like experience like just their culture, like just like their clothing, buy any clothing. It's like I just didn't have that chance. I mean, like, I think sightseeing wise, we saw everything we could see. I don't think I didn't miss out on anything like sightseeing, but I would just say culturally, you just kind of miss out on, like, you're not talking to a bunch of the people because you're kind of just looking at stuff. You're not really going into places, and you don't like, you don't get a sense of the people really. But
Yeah, I would say Wimbledon was going on at the time in London. And that's probably like Augusta National of tennis, I would say. And I've watched Wimbledon, and there's been times of my life that I've been more into tennis than ever. I think when Roger Federer was really great, and seeing him win there, they've had the Olympics there. I think seeing the grounds of Wimbledon would have been pretty cool. Would have been expensive, but would have been cool to kind of experience that. Other than that, I think what she said about the culture, it's hard to experience the culture if you're not experiencing it with people that are there. Right. When you're in it with a bunch of Americans, the most that I ever felt a part of the culture was that little brunch place, Versailles, in the market, where we had time to sit down, we had time to eat. It was a little place by ourselves, and you kind of felt like, yeah, all right, you've got to navigate this menu. You've got to navigate this menu. Get out, Google. Get out. Let's take a picture of it. Let's go to Google Translate. Let's translate parts of this thing in English to kind of get an idea of what this is. Let's try to say what we can. Messy, whatever that what. And let's try to see, like, that is the experience.
yeah,
That didn't happen a lot. It just didn't. I mean, you're so worried about seeing churches, towers, buildings, places that you just...
It's probably good to stick and move, dude, because if you watch The Hostel, you don't want to sit still too long, bro. Like,
Yeah.
we got good kidneys and stuff. They know that. They're
They're coming
kidneys.
for it. They're coming
like,
for it.
There's
That's
a
right.
young girl. She's got them good kidneys.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Coming for them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good deal, man. So if you had the opportunity to go there again, now you got other places. You got Australia, which is cool. New Zealand.
Yeah.
I think there's some other really cool places out there.
Yeah.
Would you, where would Europe be on the list of places to go? And then and also, to go to Europe, would you recommend hitting multiple? I mean, because you could literally just go and spend a week in Italy and just saturate yourself in that culture, or do you feel like it's worth it to just jump because they're all in close proximity? It's like
Right.
all that way. I didn't even go over to so
Right.
Like, what would you think is the better game plan?
I think it'd be worth it to go. I mean, I think if you find a place you really like with Biarritz, like I would be fine with staying in Biarritz for like a week. But I would say go around cuz like I feel like you're not going to have a chance to stay in Bordeaux for a week and then Madrid for a week. Like it's like you might as well just do everything you can while you're there. I mean, you don't get the benefit of getting like all the culture, but I mean, I think it's worth it just to say you went 2 more countries rather than like one. Like,
Would your Europe trip go above the other places that like because there's other places in the world? I mean, there's.
I think really the only other place I would want to go to was like, I'd say Italy, Scotland,
But all that's
probably
Europe.
Australia.
Yeah, Australia's a whole different. That's what I'm saying. Like outside of that region, like
Oh, outside
you know
of.
what I mean, Australia. Where's New Zealand?
New Zealand's right off
It's
the coast
right-
of Australia.
Yeah, I knew. It was
Yeah, I don't really care about.
going to the bottom of the food chain.
Yeah, I don't really care about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think seeing what you can with the time that you have is important because like I don't think it's practical for people unless you have unless you're well off enough to do this a lot.
Yeah.
If you're in a position where you can do this a lot, then I think I would recommend maybe like diving into that culture and like maybe seeing if there's a place that is really high up on somebody's list, for example, like Ireland, for example, or whatever. It doesn't matter. Or even in England and in London, you know, you could go to different parts and you could really just kind of be there. But what I would say is this: if I could do this again, the number of places that we went was not the issue. It was the amount of things that we tried to do in those places in that short amount of time. So you can go to London, Paris, Madrid, and even in these small places, Bordeaux, Biarritz, but maybe dial it back. You don't have to see every church and every building that is like, I would limit yourself to the types of things that you're going to see. Hey, on this trip, let's go see one palace. What's the palace that we really want to go see? Palace of Versailles. Go to that. But don't go to the Palace of Madrid because I'm going to go ahead and tell you, it's going to be very similar in magnitude and you're going to be in awe of it just the same as Versailles. But boy, you will take up hours of your day seeing this very similar things and, you know, whatever. Same with artwork. Hey, I want to go to the Banksy Museum. Go see Banksy's work, but that's it. Like, don't go see, unless you're on a trip for art, then go see all of it. I don't know, but I felt like we were just overwhelmed because we tried to see everything, and that's just not realistic with your time. You're going to wear yourself down. You know, it's like going to New York and you're literally trying to travel around the city. I want to see the Empire State Building. I want to go see this and this and this. I want to drive over there. I want to see the Statue of Liberty, and I want to do this. And like, man, if you try to do all that in one day, like imagine.
Well, I remember when we used to go on vacations, and I would we didn't have a game plan, and we would just end up with things that we just didn't do. We talked about it, and then we didn't do it. So
Absolutely.
Like,
There's a middle
I
ground.
I would just go ahead and say, okay, well, we're going to be there for 6 days. That's going to be, 6 meals, 6 lunches. Here's the top 8 out of the top 10 restaurants. Okay, how can we filter these in those 12 meals? Because we can go for lunch or dinner.
Right.
And now 8 of our 12 meals are planned, but we know we're going to hit 8 of the top 10 places, and then there's 4 that we're going to eat pizza or make sandwiches or whatever else we're going to do. But it wasn't like, let's do everything. You know what I mean? It was more.
It's structured, but it's not an itinerary.
Right.
We had an itinerary. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, when you have an itinerary for 2 weeks straight, man, that takes some
Chasing
discipline.
20, 30 kids around. How many?
That takes some discipline. We had 4 teachers, 7 adults, and 26 kids, something like that.
And y'all didn't lose one.
No.
We almost did that one time.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was like our first
we were in
day.
London. Yeah, we were in London, and we had to take it's kind of like a ferry, just goes back and forth down the river. But the thing is, and they were like sponsored, by the way, by like Uber and all these rideshare companies, but they were huge. They're huge. Yeah. And the thing is like you had to pay attention to what stop, because it would be a while before you get back to that stop. And there was no turning around. Like once you miss that stop, all right, you're upriver, and then I guess you get off at the next one, but man, you're a good like half mile away now. And sure enough, we had one kid that was not paying attention, missed a stop, and then no phone service, nothing there, and we were having to call the company, radio down to the person on that boat. It was a madhouse. Figured it out.
Call Liam Neeson.
Yeah, figured it out. Yeah, no itinerary though for 2 weeks takes a lot of discipline. That's like someone that's preparing for a heavyweight fight. That's someone that's on an itinerary for 6 weeks, like a training. Like you are in it.
And the extra stress is just not being able to communicate with anybody that's outside of your group, and not knowing where you're at, and knowing that if you did get lost. Like if you're downtown with your friends and they bolt on you and leave you in the restaurant, I mean.
Okay. Yeah, I know how to get home.
I know how to get home. Screw y'all.
But when you're in another country and you don't like in Spain, like I feel like I could get by in France and definitely in England. I figured out. Man, Spain is the one that I felt like, okay, I need to kind of be on like I've never felt more out of place than what I was when we were in Pamplona, where they do the run of the bulls.
Yeah.
Like Pamplona was the most like foreign place that I've ever felt.
It was almost embarrassing to walk with like a group of 30 people.
They're all in white and red, man.
Like, it felt like disrespectful.
They're all in white and red. They're all like they're supporting Run of the Bulls. We're like in our normal clothes. We're obviously not from here, and I've never felt more out of place. And yeah, so that one with an itinerary in that situation, hey, you got to meet back here. How can you comfortably go sit down at a restaurant and dude, it's hard to gauge out your day here. Mm-hmm. Like if you said, hey, you're about to go eat at a restaurant, meet me here after for a movie at 8:00. Man, if I go to Texas Roadhouse, I might not sit down till 8:00. You would think about it here. Imagine not speaking the language, not knowing man, it's hard. So there would be times that we did have time to eat, but we didn't know if we did because the communication barrier and everything. So it was just.
And there's crazy bulls running down the damn.
Yeah.
Bulls are running.
Yeah, they do it. It's like they do it every morning, but it's like a week-long event or something. It's something crazy.
Y'all wasn't there for that. Were y'all there for that?
We were there like during the time, during the week, but they had already done it that morning.
Oh my God.
Oh man, it's there. You can't pay me enough. It's like people's like like a coming of age kind of deal. Like, that's what they do for kids. It's a coming of age thing. Like, all right, here you go, man, throwing you in. It's like here's life coming at you, but with bulls,
with horns,
with horns. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's a lot. That's a lot to deal with. Well, guys, that was fun.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we had a good talk. Yeah, it's good kind of reminiscing on this.
Yeah. We got so many stories. I'm going to start doing a podcast with my brothers when I can get them over here.
Oh, gosh. Man, Eric.
That'll be hilarious.
That dude with his Dairy Queen stories, I will listen to that. That's so funny.
We could just have stories about the places we worked together.
Oh, man. Those Dairy Queen stories are legendary.
The childhood stories are freaking
legendary.
Hilarious. I mean, we've got so much stuff that we could talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is fun. We got to do this again. Talk about different things.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I guess that is it.
That's it.
Jacqueline's over there half asleep.
She's like, can we go? Yeah.
Well, guys, appreciate y'all watching. We got a few more episodes coming up that I've already got planned. Recordings coming up, so we got some really good guests coming on that I think everyone's going to really enjoy. Appreciate you guys watching. This is a little bit off the beaten path for what we'll normally be doing, We didn't really get into the storm very much in this one, except for we did learn the difference of Fester and Foster. That was massive.
That's right.
And we learned Cody is a closet George Costanza guy.
That's right.
We didn't know that.
That's right.
What did we learn about Larkin?
That I don't have a job or a house.
That's right. That's right.
That's what
That's
we
a good
learned.
one. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, maybe next time she'll have some of that stuff.
Yeah.
All right. All right, guys. Till next time, we'll see you, and take it easy.